Chapter 128. The 10 Prefectures Elite Meeting had 4 checkpoints. The second checkpoint wasn't located in the Heavenly Sex Plaza, but in the Black Sky Mountain Range outside the St. Origin Mansion. The Black Sky Mountain Range was a dangerous place in the St. Origin dynasty, with many demonic beasts wreaking havoc there. The 7 major forces, including the St. Origin dynasty, had a group of experts stationed outside the Black Sky Mountain Range all year round to prevent the appearance of powerful demonic beasts. Compared to the danger level of the Black Sky Mountain Range, the Cloud Valley Mountain Range that Yi Guchen had previously experienced was nothing. There was no lack of rank 3 demonic beasts in the Black Sky Mountain Range, and even rank 4 demonic beasts could be seen. If the first checkpoint was a basic test of the cultivator's strength, then the second checkpoint was a true test of actual combat. 3 days later, the second checkpoint officially began. Yi Guchen left Shui at an inn in the Heavenly Sex City before heading to the Black Sky Mountain Range with Su Jianshi. In these 3 days, people from the 7 major forces continuously sent invitations to Su Jianshi, hoping to pull her into their sections. There were also some super families that extended an olive branch to Su Jianshi. Of course, there was also Yi Guchen. Although his performance in the first checkpoint wasn't satisfactory, his talent was still there. Therefore, some super families also extended an invitation to him. Yi Guchen naturally ignored these invitations. His bottom line was at least the 7 major forces. It was impossible for him to join a lower super family. But to Yi Guchen's surprise, Su Jianshi didn't choose to join any of the major forces. When Yi Guchen asked, Su Jianshi blushed and explained, "I'm just protecting you. I'm afraid that you'll be bullied by others. Only by following me will you have a future." Moreover, Su Jianshi was still planning her righteous alliance. She would be the alliance master, and Yi Guchen would be the vice alliance master. Yi Guchen could only shake his head helplessly in the face of such an innocent and adorable girl. The Black Sky Mountain Range was located outside the St. Origin dynasty. When Yi Guchen and Su Jianshi arrived, the mountain range was already crowded with people. Although the vast majority of martial artists had already been eliminated in the first round, they could still come and watch the competition. Outside the mountain range, 7 high platforms were built. On the high platforms sat the people from the 7 major forces. However, after the first round, other than the inner sect disciples, there were also a few elders among the people from the 7 major factions. It was obvious that in this round, some geniuses would reveal their true abilities. Some hidden dark horses would also unleash their true strength. Therefore, in the second stage, the elders of the various major forces had arrived and began to seriously select some talents. On the high platform that belonged to the Sword Sex Forest of Pagodas, a green-robed old man glanced at Chu Qingqi and said, "Where's that legendary sword sect Yi Guchen?" Elder Qinghe this. Even Chu Qingqi, who had always been indifferent, looked slightly embarrassed. He didn't come? Could it be that he's afraid of that girl who possesses sword intent? Elder Qinghe questioned. No, absolutely not. I've seen Yi Guchen before. With his temperament, he's definitely not a coward. I'm afraid there's something he's hiding. However, he definitely won't miss this event, Chu Qingqi said solemnly. That better be the case because that person has already decided to come and watch the competition in the 4th stage. Elder Qinghe said in a deep voice. His tone was very serious when he spoke of that person. What, that person? Isn't he always in seclusion in the Sword Sect Pagoda? He's actually coming to watch the 10 Prefectures Elite gathering this time? Chu Qingqi's expression changed slightly. Chu Qingqi was still able to talk and joke with Elder Qinghe calmly, but Elder Qinghe was different. However, when he faced that person, he would be so nervous that he couldn't say a word. It was because that person was a legend of the Sword Sect Pagoda. I remember that the last time that person came out of seclusion was because of the abnormal tremors in the endless plains. I heard that a mysterious sword token had appeared, Chu Qingqi said with a frown. At the same time, he complained inwardly. If Yi Guchen doesn't show up, you know what will happen? Elder Qinghe said meaningfully. Yi Guchen, if you don't show up this time, I'll be in trouble. Chu Qingqi's expression was calm. but he felt as if 10,000 divine beasts were galloping through his heart. It wasn't just Elder Qing He of the Sword Sect Pagoda. Elder-level figures of the other 6 factions also appeared. Everyone silence. I'll now announce the rules of the second stage of the elite gathering. The life and death chamber old man appeared again. First, in the Black Sky Mountain Range, the assessment is based on beast cores. First and second stage beast cores don't count. Third stage beast cores count for 10 points. Fourth stage beast cores count for 50 points. As for fifth stage beast cores, although I don't expect you to obtain them, if you do, you'll get 200 points. Hearing the old man's words, many warriors rolled their eyes. Some of the powerful 4th-ranked demonic beasts were already comparable to Divine Soul Realm experts. If it was a 5th-ranked demonic beast, it would be ranked at the top even among Divine Soul Realm experts. It was almost equivalent to Life and Death Chamber experts. How could it be killed by them? Second, in the Black Sky Mountain Range, you're not restricted from attacking. In other words, you can choose not to kill beasts, but to attack other people and seize their beast cores. The old man's words caused an uproar. Yi Guchen didn't feel anything. He had already expected this. In fact, the real test of this stage was not only to fight against beasts, but also to fight against people. Third, the time limit for the second stage is 15 days. After 15 days, everyone will leave the Black Sky Mountain Range and rank according to the number of beast cores obtained. Only the top 500 can enter the third stage. 500. Many warriors had long faces. After excluding the Heaven's Prides from various prefectures, there weren't many spots left. It could be seen that the competition for the top 500 was intense. Those Heaven's Prides had relaxed smiles on their faces. Obviously, they didn't think that they would fall behind these ordinary warriors. After the old man finished reading the rules, the second stage was about to begin. Hey, what's that flying in the sky? Some warriors raised their heads to look. Yi Guchen glanced over and found that there were dozens of flying spiritual weapons that looked like eyes in the air. The floating spiritual inscriptions inscribed on them were shining with rays of light. This is a spirit pattern divine weapon, the Sky Patrolling Spirit Eye. It will show you the scene in the Black Sky Mountain Range in the void for the spectators and the people from the 7 major forces to see, the old man said. All the warriors nodded. Obviously, their performance in the Black Sky Mountain Range would be shown to everyone in the outside world. Some of the warriors' eyes lit up with flames. Everyone enter. Following the old man's words, the second stage of the 10 prefectures elite gathering officially began. Chapter 129. The Black Sky Mountain Range was 5 times larger than the Cloud Valley Mountain Range. The entire mountain range was divided into the outer, middle and inner regions. The outer region was mostly filled with rank 1 to rank 3 demonic beasts, while the middle region had rank 4 demonic beasts. As for the inner region, even some top experts didn't dare to casually enter. Before entering the Black Sky Mountain Range, the elder in charge of the elite meeting warned everyone not to enter the inner region. Otherwise, even if there was danger, the sky surveying spiritual eyes wouldn't record it, let alone send reinforcements. Within the Black Sky Mountain Range, there were ancient trees and the environment was dark and gloomy. The ancient trees were at least 10 feet tall, and their canopies covered the sky. Only the gaps between the canopies scattered light spots. Yi Guchen walked alone in the ancient forest. In order to prevent people from forming alliances or attacking each other at the beginning, the participants were arranged to enter from different directions. Yi Guchen was assigned to the south, while Su Jianshi was assigned to the east. However, when everyone went deeper, there was still a possibility of meeting up. The Black Sky Mountain Range was extremely vast, and it was up to luck to meet up. Whoosh! A shadow shot towards Yi Guchen like a sharp arrow. Yi Guchen flicked the soft sword in his hand and cut the shadow into 2 halves. It was a venomous arrow snake, a rank 1 demonic beast. The venom in its fangs could instantly kill an Essence Realm martial artist. However, it wasn't a threat to Yi Guchen. Of course, its demonic core was also useless. Looks like I still have to go deeper. Yi Guchen used the shadow step and turned into a series of afterimages as he swept deeper into the Black Sky mountain range. An hour later, as Yi Guchun proceeded deeper into the forest, he could clearly sense that there were some powerful demonic beasts lurking about. Yi Guchun wasn't afraid. After all, he had even killed a rank 4 demonic beast, the Icefire Dragon Lizard. In the darkness, a demonic beast was lurking like a pitch-black death god. Its green eyes reflected Yi Guchun's back. Rustle! Rustle! It was like a gust of wind blowing through the grass. Yi Guchun's heart suddenly became alert. His body suddenly turned back, and the soft star sword drew out a crescent moon-like sharp light. Clang! The white, hook-like claws collided with the sword edge. Yi Guchun felt a huge force coming from the sword. It sounded like the sound of metal clashing against metal. He focused his gaze and discovered that it was a pitch-black leopard. Its pair of jade-green eyes were filled with the ferocity of a predator. Third-rank demonic beast, Night Devil Leopard. Yi Guchun's eyes lit up. Finally, there was a demonic beast that was qualified for him to hunt. The rank 3 Night Devil Leopard was not only fast, but its claws and teeth were also comparable to divine weapons with spiritual inscriptions. Ordinary spiritual weapons would be bitten off by it. But in terms of speed, could it be faster than Yi Guchun's sword? In terms of toughness, could it be comparable to the high-grade spiritual inscription's divine weapon, the Meteor Soft Sword? Yi Guchun's sword light moved like a snake, emitting a powerful sword aura. It was the ultimate move of the Golden Snake Sword art, Mysterious Sword Light Snake. After sparring with Su Jianshi, who had the enlightened sword heart, Yi Guchun had also comprehended the Golden Snake Sword art to greater mastery. His ultimate move was the Mysterious Sword Light Snake. Layers of sword shadows overlapped, as if a mysterious snake was moving, agile and deadly. The most important thing was that Yi Guchun had secretly added a trace of hard and soft sword essence when he used the mysterious snake of sword light. Of course, Yi Guchun's hard soft sword intent was only in its embryonic form, but the power of the enhancement was still very shocking. With a flash of blood, the Night Devil Leopard let out a painful roar. Its fur was very tough. Even a supreme-grade spiritual weapon couldn't leave a mark on its surface. But the Meteor Soft Sword was too sharp. It was a high-grade divine weapon refined 100,000 times. It cut through the Night Devil Leopard's fur like cutting paper. The Night Devil Leopard collapsed on the ground. There was a clean cut on its neck. Yi Guchun's Meteor Soft Sword trembled. With a flash of sword light, a pitch-black Yao pill fell into his hand. After storing the Yao pill, Yi Guchun's footsteps paused. He turned his head and vaguely saw a shadow flashing above the dense forest. Sky Surveyor Spiritual Eye? Yi Guchun didn't care. His Golden Snake Sword art wouldn't expose his true identity. A rank 3 Yao beast is equivalent to a Qi Refinement Realm martial artist. It's no longer a threat to me. Let's find the next one. Yi Guchun raised his sword again and walked deeper into the mountain range. Yi Guchun's battle was recorded by the Sky Surveyor Spiritual Eye. At this moment, outside the Black Sky mountain range, where the 7 major factions and many martial artists were gathered. In midair, spiritual energy light screens unfolded one after another, flashing scenes of the Black Sky mountain range. TSK, the Qin clan's 2 princes are truly extraordinary. Whether it's Qin Aoshi or Qin Batian, they both push their way into the depths of the mountain range. Xia Yubing is truly like a goddess. She doesn't even need to use her sword. Just her cold sword qi is enough to freeze those Yao beasts. Look at Su Jianshi. She's a dark horse as always. Dealing with rank 3 Yao beasts is like child's play. The changing scenes on the light screen attracted the attention and exclamations of many martial artists. Although rank 3 Yao beasts were only comparable to Qi Refinement Realm martial artists, their innate physique and speed were far beyond human martial artists. Therefore, when rank 3 Yao beasts and Qi Refinement Realm martial artists met, the Yao beasts usually had the upper hand. And in the screens, most of the martial artists were suppressed by the Yao beasts. Only those geniuses who had the means and trump cards were able to kill the demonic beasts. That Duga Wubai doesn't look that weak. He's already killed 3 rank 3 Yao beasts. A few martial artists noticed one of the screens. It was Yi Guchun's figure. He did not reveal too many moves and techniques. He only used a flexible sword and a flexible sword technique, and he had already killed the third demonic beast. This child is quite skilled in using a flexible sword. Lu Tianying, why didn't you report this? Asked an elder from the Limitless Sword sect. He wore a black and white Taoist robe with a sun and moon pattern embroidered on his chest. Lu Tianying's expression froze. Elder Jingting, this person's name is Duga Wubai. He didn't show much strength in the first stage. He's just an ordinary person. Ordinary my ass. Zhao Jingting was a little angry and couldn't help but curse. If it were you, would you be able to kill a rank 3 Yao beast in one strike? Zhao Jingting glared at Lu Tianying. And no. Lu Tianying nodded submissively. He cursed Yi Guchen thousands of times in his heart. On the other side, Elder Qing He of the Sword Sect's Pagoda Forest also noticed Duga Wubai. Qing Qi, is this the Duga Wubai you remember? Elder Qing He asked. That's right, it's him. Although the strength he displayed in the first stage was mediocre, I feel that he's hiding his strength deeply. He's probably a dark horse on par with Su Jianshi, said Chu Qingqi. He paid attention to Duga Wubai, but he vaguely felt that this person was hiding something. Yes, he's good. This person's flexible sword has reached perfection. He's like an old grandmaster who has been practicing the flexible sword for decades. But he's so young. He's really talented. The more Elder Qing He looked at Yi Guchen's flexible sword, the more surprised he was. In the Sword Sect's Pagoda Forest, there was no lack of sword cultivators who were good at using flexible swords. However, after seeing Yi Guchen's flexible sword on the screen, Elder Qing He suddenly felt that the sword cultivators in the sect used flexible swords too clumsily. They weren't as graceful and agile as Yi Guchen. Could it be that this kid started practicing the flexible sword in his mother's womb? Elder Qing He thought. Chapter 130. Whoosh! A wisp of sword light zigzagged in the dark ancient forest. It was like a sharp blade that could take one's life. Roar! Accompanied by the miserable howl of a third-rank monster, the rock lizard. A yellow monster core fell into Yi Guchen's hand. The rock lizard was covered in a rock armor, but in terms of defensive power, it was much weaker than the Icefire Dragon Lizard's crystal armor. The meteorite soft sword could easily break through it. The seventh one. Yi Guchen put the monster core into his origin ring. He didn't know what the other geniuses had gained, but 7 monster cores was probably not a small number. Although there are already 7 demonic cores, all of them are of the 3rd rank. The number 1 heaven's favorites of each prefecture will be searching for 4th-rank demonic beasts. The points of a 4th-rank demonic core are equivalent to 5 3rd-rank demonic cores. Yi Guchen's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. For safety's sake, he still needed to look for 4th-rank monsters. Then he needed to enter the central region of the Black Sky Mountain Range. Yi Guchen made a decision in his heart, and his figure directly rushed deeper into the mountain range. The central region of the Black Sky Mountain Range was even darker, and there were many hidden fiendish auras. They were all monsters with strong auras. Yi Guchen's feet moved, and suddenly there was some movement in front of him, as well as a girl's shout. That's... Yi Guchen looked over, and found 2 girls working together to deal with the monster. Feeling the monster's aura, Yi Guchen slightly raised his eyebrows. Peak 3rd rank monster Single-Horned Demon Bear. Although its aura hadn't reached the 4th rank, it wasn't far from it. An ordinary Qi refinement stage cultivator wouldn't have any chance of survival. When Yi Guchen's gaze turned to the 2 figures, he was slightly stunned. The 2 beautiful figures, one green and one red, were not unfamiliar to him. They were Xia Shishir and Xiaoying, from the Xia family. Yi Guchen observed their auras, and found that they had both reached the 6th rank of Qi refinement stage. They must have received some resources from Xia Yubing. But even so, it was still difficult for the 2 women to subdue the single-horned devil bear, even if they joined hands. Instead, they were suppressed to the point of being surrounded by danger. Xia Shishir, it's all your fault. We didn't even meet up with Sister Yubing before we entered the central region. Now we're in trouble, Xiaoying shrieked. There was still a scar on her face. It was the sword scar left behind by Yi Guchen. The Black Sky Mountain Range is so big. It won't be easy to meet Sister Yubing. If we continue to delay, it's hard to say if we can enter the top 500. Xia Shishir, who was dressed in green, was currently in a rather sorry state. Her dress was torn in many places, revealing her fair skin. Without Big Sister Yubing's help, we wouldn't have been able to enter the top 500. Now, we don't even have the slightest chance. Xia Yinger was once again pushed back by the bear's paw. She spat out a mouthful of blood. We can't rely on Sister Yubing for everything. Although Xia Shishir said this, another slender figure appeared in her mind. It was precisely because she wanted to chase after that figure that she decided to enter the central region, because only by doing so could she enter the top 500 and gain the attention of the 7 major forces. The single-horned demonic bear let out an intimidating roar, causing Xia Shishir's figure to freeze as if she had been struck by lightning. Seeing this, the bear stretched out its paw. Its pitch-black claws were like iron hooks. Coupled with its rock-hard paw, it directly attacked Xia Shishir. Xia Shishir. Xiaoying Er's expression changed, but she didn't dare to step forward to defend herself. My path ends here? How laughable. So from the beginning to the end, I can only look up at your back, whether it's in the past or now. Xia Shishir revealed a self-deprecating smile. When Yi Guchun was down and out, she helped him. But it was only because she felt pity for him and missed him. But later, when Yi Guchun rose again, Xia Shishir sadly found that the person who needed pity the most was herself. It's over. Xia Shishir closed her eyes, feeling a sense of relief. The assessment in the Black Sky Mountain Range was risky. It was very difficult for inconspicuous people like them to get the attention of the sky surveying spiritual eyes. So even if Xia Shishir was about to be killed by the bear, no one would come to her rescue. Rescue was a benefit that belonged to the geniuses. Who would care about an ordinary cultivator's life or death? Just as the bear's paw was about to hit Xia Shishir's body, a sword light tore through the air like a sword piercing through the clouds. Boom! The sword light bombarded the single-horned demonic bear's bare paw. A wound was torn open on the extremely tough bare paw, and blood gushed out incessantly. This sudden turn of events caused even Xia Yinger to be stunned for a moment. Could it be Sister Yubing? Xia Yinger's face was filled with joy. When she saw the sword light, Xia Yinger subconsciously thought that it was Xia Yubing. Xia Shishir, who had her eyes closed, didn't welcome the moment of her body being torn apart. She opened her eyes in confusion, and was shocked to find that the bear's paw was dripping with blood, and it was roaring in pain. Xia Shishir was also stunned. A figure slowly walked over with a heavy aura. The two women turned their gazes over at the same time, and found that it was a youth with an extremely ordinary face. It's you, Dugawubai. Xia Shishir and Xia Yinger were both astonished. This youth named Dugawubai was clearly a dazzling existence in the 10 prefectures elite gathering. Although there was still a gap between him and Su Jianshi, his name was well known. But what puzzled Xia Shishir was that she had never met Dugawubai before. So why would he save her? Careful, however, before Xia Shishir could react, a ferocious demonic aura rushed toward her. The injured single-horned demonic bear's demonic aura surged out, and its eyes turned scarlet. It had clearly entered a berserk state. A peak rank 3 single-horned demonic bear that had entered a berserk state wasn't much weaker than a rank 4 demonic beast. Xia Shishir was currently exhausted and couldn't dodge. Just at the critical moment, that thin and slender figure blocked in front of her. Roar! The single-horned demonic bear's paws fiercely slammed down with monstrous power. Xia Shishir and Xia Yinger closed their eyes, unable to bear to see what was about to happen. Bang! A dull sound rang out as Xia Shishir and Xia Yinger opened their eyes. The scene in front of them left them incomparably shocked. They saw that the youth had actually blocked the single-horned demonic bear's paw with his sword. That's a peak rank 3 demonic beast. Xia Yinger's face was filled with shock. They originally thought that Dugawubai would be sent flying, but they didn't expect that it would be a stalemate. Looking at the skinny youth in front of her, Xia Shishir's eyes welled up with an inexplicable sourness. It was as if she saw another figure. Chapter 131. Boom! Yi Guchun separated from the single-horned demonic bear, as a shockwave rippled out in all directions. The reason why he helped wasn't because he had nothing better to do. It was because Xia Shishir had once done him a favor. In the Xia family's elixir hall, it was Xia Shirshir who helped him obtain the blood spirit vermilion fruit when Xia Yinger made things difficult for him. Although it wasn't a big favor, Yi Guchen still remembered it. He had told Xia Shirshir that he owed her a favor. Perhaps Xia Shirshir didn't care at that time, but now that there was a chance, Yi Guchen should repay her. Roar! After being pushed back by this human again and again, the single-horned demonic bear once again erupted with demonic aura and charged at Yi Guchen. Young Master Dugu, be careful. Xia Shirshir was at a loss as she reminded him. It's fine. Yi Guchen's meteorite soft sword trembled as all 72 artifact veins lit up. In an instant, the power of the sword aura multiplied. At the same time, he activated the Qi gathering spiritual rune, and the true Qi in his body surged into the rune. The Qi gathering spiritual rune emitted a dazzling light, as if it contained an extremely powerful force. The ultimate move of the Golden Snake Sword Art, Mysterious Sword Light Snake. The powerful and violent sword aura rushed out like a giant python. This time, Yi Guchen's Golden Snake Sword Art wasn't agile and unpredictable, but violent and domineering, like a giant python entangling its prey. The sword aura landed on the single-horned demonic bear's body, but the tough and thick fur couldn't completely resist the sharpness of the meteorite soft sword. However, when the blade cut into the single-horned demonic bear's body, only a little blood flowed out. Clearly, there was a thick layer of fat under the single-horned demonic bear's tough fur, and its defense was extremely strong. Xia Shirshir's delicate body retreated. She knew that she couldn't help much at this moment. Can that Dugu Wubai defeat the single-horned demonic bear? That's a peak rank 3 demonic beast, Xia Yinger said with some apprehension. She had also seen his performance in the first round. Although his talent was outstanding, his strength was obviously a level lower. Even the number 1 prodigy of the 10 prefectures wouldn't be able to kill a peak rank 3 demonic beast alone. He did it to save us, so I believe in him. Xia Shirshir looked at the skinny figure, and an inexplicable confidence rose in her heart. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. If he can't win, we'll have to retreat first. Xia Yinger curled her lips. Actually, she still held a trace of delusion towards the single-horned demonic bear's demon core. Boom! After exchanging blows with each other once again, Yi Guchen finally felt how powerful the single-horned devil bear's body was. If not for his perfect physical body and the power of the dragon elephant, he would have been sent flying by the single-horned devil bear's palm. But right now, Yi Guchen couldn't recklessly use his sword moves because it would easily expose his identity. If that's the case, then that's the only way. Yi Guchen narrowed his eyes slightly. Vigorous true Qi surged in his body, and a layer of golden light faintly appeared on the surface of his body. With the support of the Vajra celestial body, Yi Guchen's physical strength had once again risen to another level. He held the meteor soft sword in his hand and vaguely, something seemed to be brewing. The single-horned devil bear instinctively sensed a dangerous aura. It let out a wild roar, unable to bear it any longer. The horn on its forehead exuded a powerful wave as it charged directly at Yi Guchen. It was at this moment that a sky-surveying spiritual eye in the sky arrived and captured this scene. Outside the Black Sky mountain range, where everyone gathered. On the light screen, the scene of Yi Guchen and the single-horned devil bear fighting appeared. Hey, that's a peak rank 3 demonic beast, the single-horned devil bear. Many cultivators were shocked when they saw this scene. Heavens, it's a single-horned devil bear in a berserk state. Its strength is infinitely close to rank 4. Many cultivators exclaimed when they saw the single-horned devil bear with blood-red eyes. Their gazes shifted, wanting to see which unlucky person had encountered the berserk single-horned devil bear. It's actually Dugu Wubai. He encountered it. That's interesting. I saw him kill rank 3 demonic beasts easily before. I wonder how he will deal with this demonic beast that's infinitely close to rank 4? Some cultivators were curious and looking forward to it, while some were gloating, waiting to see Yi Guchen make a fool of himself. After all, geniuses would always arouse the jealousy of some people. On the high platform, the people of the 7 major forces also turned their gazes to the scene of Yi Guchen's battle. During the battle with the puppet, Yi Guchen's performance was mediocre. It was precisely because of this that some forces did not pay attention to him. But now they were all interested. Humph, Dugawubai. You caused me to be scolded by the elders. This time, I'll see how you deal with the demonic beast that's close to rank 4. On the high platform of the Limitless Sword sect, Lu Tianying's gaze was gloomy as the corner of his mouth hooked up into a sneer. Previously, Yi Guqin had killed a rank 3 demonic beast with a single sword strike, causing him to be scolded by Zhao Jingting. Now that he saw Yi Guqin in danger, he naturally felt happy. Within the mountain range, facing the single-horned devil bear that was charging towards him like a mountain, Yi Guqin's aura was calm and unafraid. He had even killed a rank 4 demonic beast before, let alone a mere peak rank 3 demonic beast in front of him. Let me try the power of the god-slaying sword technique. Yi Guqin's sword aura condensed, and on the meteor sword edge, there seemed to be a layer of blood light circulating. It was extremely scarlet and dazzling. At the same time, there was a dense killing intent spreading out. Although Yi Guqin did not use the Azura sword intent, he activated the Azura power in his body and condensed it on the sword edge, which was as red as blood. The first move of the god-slaying sword technique, blood slaughter. A blood-red sword light tore through the air, shaking the void, bringing with it a murderous and bloody aura. When an ordinary man is angry, blood splatters 5 steps away. When a sword cultivator is angry, the blood of heaven and earth sings. Puchi, almost without any resistance, as if cutting through tofu, the blood-red sword edge directly pierced through the single-horned devil bear's chest and blasted open a large hole. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere, and one could see the blood-red organs squirming inside. The power of the god-slaying sword technique was actually so terrifying. Boom! The single-horned devil bear fell to the ground with a loud bang, blood flowing out, and its life force gradually fading away. Even Yi Guqin was slightly stunned. He did not expect the god-slaying sword technique to be able to erupt with such power. This was not even using the Azura sword intent, but only adding the power of Azura. Moreover, looking at the single-horned devil bear's wound, it was not as smooth as an ordinary sword wound, but as if it had exploded, blood and flesh splattering everywhere. This also meant that the god-slaying sword technique was a pure offensive sword technique. On the side, Xia Shishir and Xia Ying'er were stunned. Especially Xia Ying'er. At first, she was a little suspicious of Yi Guqin, thinking that he wanted to be a hero saving the beauty. But now, it seemed that he did not care about this single-horned devil bear at all. Xia Ying'er's face was a little hot, revealing a resentful expression. At this moment outside the Black Sky Mountain range, there was an uproar. What, I'm not seeing things right? One sword, is it really just one sword? What sword technique is that? Its power is actually so terrifying. That's a peak rank 3 demonic beast. Many of the cultivators who were waiting to see Yi Guqin make a fool of himself were stunned, their mouths wide open. At first, they were still discussing how many moves this Duga Wubai would lose. But in the end, it was just a matter of a breath, and the single-horned devil bear fell to the ground. This result was like someone violently slapping them. On the high platform of the 7 major forces, on the sword sect's side, Elder Qing He, who had always had an indifferent expression, after seeing Yi Guqin's sword, a hint of surprise appeared in his old eyes. Although this sword technique is powerful, its murderous nature is extremely strong. How did that kid not get contaminated by its murderous nature? Elder Qing He was also somewhat stunned. On the side, Chu Qingqi had a confident look on his face. He had long known that Duga Wubai was not so simple. On the Limitless Sword sect's side, Lu Tianying wanted to cry. An ordinary person, is this also an ordinary person? Your eyes are on a dog's body. If Duga Wubai, who can kill the single-horned devil bear with one sword, is an ordinary person, then what are you? Mud, a bastard. Zhao Jingting was so angry that he blew his beard and glared. If such a sword genius could not join the Limitless Sword sect because of Lu Tianying, then he would definitely skin Lu Tianying alive. I know I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Lu Tianying bowed. He was being scolded badly, but there was a burst of anger brewing in his heart. Duga Wubai, it's all your fault. A trace of hatred appeared in his eyes. Chapter 132. Outside the Black Sky Mountain range, While the crowd was shocked by Yi Guchen's performance, the atmosphere inside the mountain range had calmed down. After using the first move of the god-slaying sword technique to kill the single-horned demonic bear, Yi Guchen discovered that he had consumed 10% of his true energy. One must know that Yi Guchen had 100 feet wide golden qi, and the amount of true energy he possessed was far greater than an ordinary qi. If it was an ordinary qi, this move would have drained all of their true energy. Moreover, Yi Guchen had also consumed a lot of Azura energy. The power of the god-slaying sword technique matches its consumption. Yi Guchen thought to himself. His meteor sword made a cut on the single-horned demonic bear's body. Blood splattered, and a pitch-black beast core fell into his hand. Xia Yinger immediately revealed a look of desire. Her beautiful eyes were like silk, constantly twining around Yi Guchen's body. Although Xia Yinger could be considered pretty, the sword scar on her face made her seductive appearance somewhat repulsive. Yi Guchen directly ignored Xia Yinger and threw the beast core to Xia Shishir. Like a blessing from the heavens, Xia Shishir couldn't react for a moment. She and this Dugu Wubai had never met before, and it was already puzzling that she was willing to save him. Xia Shishir didn't even think that Yi Guchen would give her the beast core. Young Master Dugu, the single-horned demonic bear was killed by you, so I can't accept this beast core. Although Xia Shishir also desired this beast core, she still handed it over. You have the qualifications to accept this beast core. Consider it as repaying the karma of that day. Yi Guchen said. Without another word, his figure turned into an afterimage and flashed away. That day when Xia Shishir helped him out, he promised to owe her a favor. Now it was time to settle this karma. After that, Yi Guchen and Xia Shishir had nothing to do with each other. The karma of that day, Xia Shishir's mind flashed, as she seemed to have thought of something. But he couldn't remember it at the moment. However, for some reason, as she watched Yi Guchen leave, Xia Shishir bit her lip as tears began to well up in her eyes. Xia Yinger, on the other hand, looked at Xia Shishir with jealousy and annoyance. In the central region of the Black Sky Mountain Range, Yi Guchen was still wandering around like a lonely soul. He had already harvested 12 third-rank monster cores, which meant that he had already killed 12 third-rank monster beasts. This was something unimaginable for a normal chi-refining realm martial artist. However, Yi Guchen did not relax in the slightest, as he continued to search for the traces of the rank 4 monstrous beast. What's up ahead? Yi Guchen slowed down. There seemed to be a hidden valley in front of them. In the secluded valley, there was a faint aura lying dormant. 4th-rank demonic beast. Yi Guchen's eyes suddenly lit up. Although there were quite a number of rank 4 monstrous beasts in the central region, it was not so easy to encounter one. In addition, many cultivators had entered the mountain range recently. So many rank 4 monstrous beasts had already hidden themselves. Therefore, it was not so easy to find a rank 4 monstrous beast. However, Yi Guchen did not act rashly, because in addition to the ferocious aura in the secluded valley, there was also a faint human voice coming from the other side of the valley. I told you not to follow me. There was a faint snort with a trace of impatience. Hearing this voice, Yi Guchen suddenly froze. This voice was not unfamiliar to him, as it was the voice of Princess Yuanyang. Your Highness, you will only be safe if you follow me. Moreover, I can also share the monster cores with you. Once I kill the rank 4 monstrous beast in this valley, I will give you the monster cores. Another male voice sounded with a hint of flattery. I said I don't need your help, and I also don't need to rely on others. Princess Yuanyang raised her eyebrows and curled her lips. The man who spoke was none other than the number 1 genius of Yuanyang Mansion, Mo Lin. Mo Lin was dressed in white and had black hair. He looked quite well dressed, but the corners of his eyes were sharp and narrow. Obviously, he was not an open-minded person. Seeing Princess Yuanyang's attitude, Mo Lin's face slightly darkened and said, Is it because of that sword master Yi Guchen? Could it be that you still have him in your heart? Princess Yuanyang was at a loss for words when she heard this. Then she said in a strong voice, Does it have anything to do with you? That sword master is just a coward who is scared by a woman and does not dare to come out. Why are you thinking about that kind of man every day? Lin said in a sharp and unkind tone. It's none of your business, shameless. Princess Yuanyang's eyes were cold. She pursed her thin red lips. Although she wanted to argue, it was true that Yi Guchen did not appear. Thinking of this, Princess Yuanyang's eyes could not help but dim. Although she did not have much interaction with Yi Guchen, Princess Yuanyang's heart was still complicated when it came to this person, who she had admired for a long time. Your Highness, I will prove to you that I am worthy of you in the 10 prefectures elite gathering. Lin's tone was slightly excited. Obviously, he was extremely confident in himself. Princess Yuanyang just wanted to leave. Roar. At this moment, there was movement in the valley. The ground trembled slightly, as if something was about to rush out. Yi Guchen, who was hiding on the other side, shook his head slightly with a cold smile on his face. It was fine to speak loudly in front of someone's house. Not to mention a demonic beast with sharp senses. Even an ordinary cultivator would be able to detect the movement. But facing the demonic beast that was about to attack, Lin did not have the slightest fear. He slowly took out a fan and leisurely fanned himself. At the side, Princess Yuanyang cast a sidelong glance at Lin, whose posture was incomparably coquettish, and curled her lips. She could not stand Lin's arrogance. Roar! A demonic beast, that was about 6 meters tall, rushed out. It was an earth demon ape. This earth demon ape's fur was as black as ink, and its eyes were blood red. There was a strong murderous aura surging around its body, indicating that this demonic beast had reached the 4th rank. It's just an earth demon ape. Lin's expression was extremely disdainful. True qi surged around his body, indicating that he had reached the 8th cycle of qi refinement. As the number 1 prodigy of a prefecture, this Lin did have some qualifications. He activated the folding fan in his hand. Tool veins spread out, and at the same time, spiritual inscriptions lit up. This folding fan was actually a divine weapon with spiritual inscriptions. Whoosh! Lin threw out the Xianming treasure fan with spiritual inscriptions. Like a boomerang, the edge of the treasure fan let out an ear-piercing sound, and an extremely sharp fluctuation spread out. Boom! The earth demon ape's arm was like a black iron pillar, and it punched out. It hit the Xianming treasure fan without any deviation, and the sound of metal clashing burst out. Soon, the man and the beast were engaged in a chaotic battle. Yi Guchen watched in the dark. He had to admit that as the number 1 prodigy of a prefecture, Lin was not much weaker than Yuan Mie, Qin Aoshi, and the others, even if he was slightly weaker than them. Lin cultivated the Mo clan's ancestral spirit-level cultivation method, the Dark Heaven art, and his true qi had a cold attribute. Every time he attacked, cold-in qi would enter the earth demon ape's body. However, demonic beasts had rich blood and qi, so there would not be any problems in a short period of time. Yi Guchen could see that Lin planned to exhaust the earth demon ape slowly. After all, not everyone was like Yi Guchen, who had a perfect body and could fight a demonic beast head-on. On the side, Princess Yuanyang crossed her arms in front of her breasts and watched lazily. She had to admit that although she hated Lin, he still had some skills. As if he felt Princess Yuanyang's attention, the arrogant smile on Lin's face gradually widened, and his eyes became more and more spirited. Just as Lin was about to use his means to severely injure the earth demon ape, an extremely violent roar came from the depths of the valley. Chapter 133. A demonic beast's roar shook the entire valley. Then the ground shook like a drum as if there was an earthquake. Princess Yuanyang and Lin both looked at the demonic beast that rushed out of the valley in shock. It was also a demonic ape. However, unlike the pitch-black earth demonic ape, this demonic ape's fur was as white as snow, but the demonic aura it emitted was slightly stronger than the earth demonic ape's. Sky demonic ape. The confident smile on Molin's face froze in an instant. Although he was the number 1 prodigy of Yuanyang Prefecture, his strength was indeed slightly weaker than the number 1 prodigies of other prefectures. Because Yuanyang Prefecture was smaller and less populated than the other prefectures, there weren't many prodigies that came out in the past. Lin was able to become the #1 prodigy because he was better than others. However, Lin didn't know that and always compared himself to Yuan Mie, Qin Aoshi, Shen Tu Miao, and the others. When the sky demonic ape appeared, Lin's mouth twitched and his smile froze. With his strength, dealing with a beginner rank 4 earth demonic ape would take a lot of effort. Moreover, there was another sky demonic ape that was slightly stronger than the earth demonic ape. What's going on? How can there be such a coincidence? There's actually another sky demonic ape. Lin wanted to cry. Although he had heard of heaven demonic apes accompanying each other, the probability was extremely low. Now he just so happened to run into one. And in front of Princess Yuanyang. Roar. After Lin and the earth demonic ape exchanged blows again, his chi and blood were in turmoil. And the sky demonic ape was already charging over. At this moment, the sky surveying spiritual eyes in the sky once again arrived. The scene of Lin running into the heaven demonic ape also appeared in the eyes of the spectators. Heavens, there are 2 rank 4 demonic beasts. It's the sky demonic ape and the earth demonic ape. Lin is really unlucky to run into a heaven demonic ape. Hurry up and send experts over. If the situation is not right or Lin is in danger, rescue him immediately. The life and death chamber elder in charge of the situation shouted. Lin was the prodigy of the Mo family, and the #1 prodigy of Yuanyang Prefecture, so his treatment was naturally different. However, if an expert were to take action, then Lin's qualifications to take the test would naturally be revoked. Is there really going to be a #1 prodigy who will fall at the second stage? Haha, it's not impossible. After all, that's a heaven earth demonic ape, 2 rank 4 demonic beasts. Not to mention Lin, even Shen Tu Miao, Qin Aoshi, and the others would not have it easy if they encountered them. On the high platform, the people of the 7 major forces were discussing. Within the mountain range. Let's go. This was the only thought in Lin's mind. Firstly, he didn't want to die here. Secondly, he didn't want anyone to rescue him, because that would cause him to lose the right to take the test. For someone as prideful as Lin, being eliminated in the second round was a fate worse than death for him. Roar. The sky demonic ape and earth demonic ape rushed over at the same time, crushing the trees and pushing everything in their path. Lin and Princess Yuanyang moved quickly, trying to escape. However, even though the 2 devilish apes had large bodies, their speed was still extremely fast. Lin was fine. After all, his cultivation was slightly higher, and his true chi was vigorous. Coupled with the Mahist's cloud steps, he was already able to shake off the 2 devilish apes. However, Princess Yuanyang couldn't do it. She was slightly slower than Lin. Once she fell behind Lin, the 2 devilish apes would definitely shift their target to her. Lin, what are you doing? Princess Yuanyang was about to go crazy. She was simply suffering an unexpected calamity. Lin's face turned green and white. He originally wanted to show off in front of Princess Yuanyang by killing the rank 4 demonic beast and giving her its demonic core. However, the current situation was completely out of his expectations. Facing Princess Yuanyang scolding behind him, Lin's expression was as if his father had died. However, when he thought of the consequences of not being able to escape, he would either die or be rescued, and lose the right to take the test. Lin couldn't accept any of them. He turned back to look at Princess Yuanyang again. At the critical moment of life and death, Princess Yuanyang didn't seem as beautiful as before. Gritting his teeth, Lin didn't say a word and directly increased his speed. His footsteps were like drifting clouds, and he once again shook off Princess Yuanyang and the 2 devilish apes. Lin, Princess Yuanyang was extremely shocked and furious. As the daughter of the mansion master, she was naturally unruly and willful. She had always been the one who looked down on others. This was the first time someone had abandoned her, especially the person who had abandoned her. Just a moment ago, he was still pursuing her with flowery words. How could Princess Yuanyang not be angry? However, even if she was angry, it was of no use. Feeling the ferocious aura of the 2 devilish apes behind her, Princess Yuanyang's pretty face turned slightly pale. Her strength wasn't enough to deal with one rank 4 demonic beast alone, let alone 2. In front of her, Mo Lin had already run far away. Princess Yuanyang's eyes were filled with despair. Even if an expert came to rescue her, she would still lose the right to take the test. Whoosh! Just as Princess Yuanyang was at a loss, a blood-colored sword light that seemed to have been brewing for a long time, carrying a monstrous bloody aura, directly pierced towards the earth demonic ape. Because it was too sudden, and it was a sneak attack, even the earth demonic ape with sharp senses didn't have time to react. That blood-colored sword light, that caused people's hearts to palpitate, directly pierced through the earth demonic ape's chest. With a boom, the earth demonic ape's chest exploded. Flesh and blood splattered in all directions. It was extremely bloody. Some pieces of flesh and blood splattered on Princess Yuanyang's body, as well as her delicate white face. She didn't even notice it. She seemed to be in a daze as she stared blankly at the earth demonic ape that had fallen to the ground. With just one sword strike, a rank 4 demonic beast, the earth demonic ape had died? Although it was a sneak attack, this scene still caused Princess Yuanyang's heart to fiercely tremble for a moment. Who was it? Yuan Mie Murong Ditian or Xia Yubing? In Princess Yuanyang's heart, there were only a few number 1 geniuses who were good at using the sword. An extremely ordinary-looking youngster walked out. The long sword in his hand was flowing with a blood-like blood-colored light, which looked extremely dazzling. However, it was precisely this ordinary-looking youngster, whose body was surging with a cold, murderous aura, that caused Princess Yuanyang's heart to tremble. It's actually him? Duga Wubai? Princess Yuanyang was incomparably astonished. She naturally knew about Duga Wubai. After all, he had an outstanding performance in the innate talent assessment. However, when he was fighting against the black puppet demon, Duga Wubai didn't display such valiant battle prowess. Princess Yuanyang thought inwardly. Her gaze was uncertain, as she sized up Yi Guchen. Killing a rank 4 demonic beast with one sword strike, perhaps even those number 1 geniuses wouldn't be able to do so. Yi Guchen didn't even look at Princess Yuanyang. Holding the meteor flexible sword in his hand, he turned the tip of the sword towards the heaven demonic ape. With the earth demonic ape dead, the heaven demonic ape's eyes were blood red. It was extremely furious, and actually opened its mouth to spit out a ball of demonic chi. Chapter 134. The sky demonic ape's demonic breath was strong and corrosive. If an ordinary chi refinement realm martial artist came into contact with it, their flesh and blood would be completely corroded. However, Yi Guchen's expression didn't change at all. He slowly raised his hand, and with a puff, a ball of crimson flame mixed with deep blue emerged from his palm, rolling on its own. It was the heaven and earth flame, the heavenly sun Xianming fire. Yi Guchen's heavenly sun Xianming fire. Other than when he was forging, he had never shown it in front of others. Therefore, this wouldn't expose Yi Guchen's identity. He casually threw this ball of fire, and it collided with the demonic breath. The fiercely rolling flame burned the demonic breath, turning it into wisps of green smoke. On the other side, the sky demonic ape's crimson eyes flashed with a human-like fear. Except for some fire-attributed demonic beasts, the rest of the beasts were instinctively afraid of fire, especially the heaven and earth flame, which was extremely powerful. It was even more powerful than ordinary flames. As if he saw the fear in the sky demonic ape's eyes, Yi Guchen slowly placed his burning left hand on the falling star soft sword's blade. As Yi Guchen's palm moved, the blade ignited inch by inch. In the end, the entire falling star soft sword was burning with the heavenly sun Xianming fire. This method of using the heaven and earth flame made Princess Yuanyang, who wasn't far away, stunned. Boom! Without any hesitation, the sky demonic ape and Yi Guchen rushed at each other at the same time. The sky demonic ape's entire body was covered with demonic breath, and its thick ape arm carried the power of 10,000 pounds as it attacked Yi Guchen. The burning sword edge collided with the sky demonic ape's claw, and the powerful force made Yi Guchen's expression change slightly. The sky demonic ape's strength was indeed stronger than the earth demonic ape's. Yi Guchen's body was pushed back, but the sky demonic ape didn't have it easy either. Its claw was charred black, and at the same time, there was a thin layer of frost condensing. This was the heavenly sun Xianming fire's characteristic. It had the power of extreme heat and extreme cold. Again, on the surface of Yi Guchen's body, a faint golden light flashed. His flawless muscles and bones seemed to contain a surge of divine power. With his perfect physical body, he had the Vajradharma body and the Dracophant force. Such a physique was not inferior to some of the stronger demonic beasts. Boom, boom, boom. In the continuous collisions, Yi Guchen was like a demonic beast that had taken human form. The edge of his sword was no longer as strange and difficult to distinguish as before. Instead, it was like a mountain, opening and closing wide. This was because Yi Guchen wanted to test how strong his physical body was. Princess Yuanyang was completely dumbfounded. Her pretty face was frozen with astonishment. Evildoer. This was what Princess Yuanyang was thinking at the moment. With the body of a human, to be able to contend against the sky demonic ape, which was known for its powerful physical body. If he wasn't a monster, then what was? I wonder who is stronger between Yi Guchen and him. Princess Yuanyang couldn't help but think to herself. But when she thought of this, her phoenix eyes slightly dimmed. Unfortunately, Yi Guchen didn't come, which made Princess Yuanyang feel a little disappointed. At the same time, in a place slightly further away, Lin stopped running. He turned his head and looked back with suspicion. Those two demonic apes didn't follow. Lin frowned slightly. Although he was a little arrogant, he wasn't stupid. His eyes flickered. His body moved like a floating cloud and turned back. Not long after, Lin saw Yi Guchen fighting against the sky demonic ape. That's Digawubai? Lin's face stiffened. There was disbelief in his eyes. Because in his opinion, Yi Guchen only had a little talent. In the first round of the battle with the puppet, Yi Guchen did not have any redeeming qualities. But it was this existence that Lin neglected that was now fighting against the sky demonic ape. No wonder Lin didn't dare to believe his eyes. His gaze turned to look at the other earth demonic ape on the ground. His eyes suddenly revealed a trace of greed. Lin was arrogant and ambitious. Everyone wanted to fight for first place in the second round. The points of a fourth-ranked demonic beast's monster core were not low. Don't worry. When the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. This stupid kid is just making a wedding dress for me. Lin's eyes flashed with a trace of pride. The corner of his mouth curved into a playful sneer. Boom! Once again, Yi Guchen retreated more than 10 steps. His chest also felt a surge of blood. However, the sky demonic ape wasn't in a good condition either. Its palms were dripping with blood and charred black. Its originally snow-white fur was now covered with charred black sword marks. One could faintly smell a charred stench. The sky demonic ape's beast eyes looked at Yi Guchen. It was no longer as fierce as before. Instead, there was a strong sense of dread. As a demonic beast, it instinctively felt the threat of death from this human in front of it. Roar! The sky demonic ape let out a furious roar. Then it turned around and fled. A rank 4 demonic beast actually wanted to escape directly. This scene made Princess Yuanyang speechless. At the same time, these scenes were also displayed on the void light screen outside the mountain range, through the sky surveying spiritual eyes. This scene really shocked some people. Until now, there were only a few geniuses who could scare a 4th-ranked demonic beast away. In particular, some of the elders of the 7 major forces were very surprised. Yi Guchen's physical strength was beyond everyone's expectations. Even in the 7 major forces, there were almost no geniuses who had such a strong physical body. Not only does he have an exquisite soft sword, but he also has a strong physique comparable to a demonic beast. This kid is worthy of being recruited into our sword sect pagoda forest. Elder Qing, he muttered. On the side of the limitless sword sect, poor Lu Tianying was once again scolded by Zhao Jingting. Such a talent must be recruited into our limitless sword sect, no matter the price. Zhao Jingting slapped the armrest of the chair with one hand, frowning, and said firmly, he was indeed qualified to say such words, because the limitless sword sect was vaguely the leader among the 7 major forces. Although the gap was not particularly obvious. Lu Tianying's face was extremely ugly, but he could only nod. In the mountain range, looking at the sky demonic ape that turned around and ran. Yi Guchen was also slightly stunned. He did not expect that the demonic beast, which had always been known for its ferocity, would run away. However, he understood. After all, there were almost no humans who had a perfect physical body like him. And the physique that demonic beasts were so proud of was no longer an advantage. So the whole battle naturally leaned towards fairness. Not only were humans more intelligent than demonic beasts, but they also had spiritual inscriptions, divine weapons, strange flames, and other means. In fact, they had a slight advantage. How can I let you escape when I'm about to get the 4th-ranked demonic core? Yi Guchen raised his sword-like eyebrows slightly. He was worried that he could not find a 4th-ranked demonic beast. Now that there was a chance, it was impossible to let the sky demonic ape escape. Chapter 135. A sword radiance with a strange flame snaked like a snake, and blocked the sky demonic ape's retreat. Boom! The sword radiance collided with the sky demonic ape's fist, and the sky demonic ape's body suddenly stopped. Its beastly eyes were burning with a fierce aura again. Rank 4 demonic beasts had a certain level of thinking ability. In its opinion, it was already giving in by retreating, but the human opposite it was unwilling to let it go. Even demonic beasts had anger. Roar! The sky demonic ape's beastly eyes were red, as if they were dripping blood. A strong blood-red demonic chi rose from its body, and at the same time, some demonic patterns vaguely appeared on the surface of its body. Those are demonic patterns. This sky demonic ape has comprehended a demonic beast divine ability? Yi Guchen's eyes were also filled with astonishment. As everyone knew, demonic beasts were different from humans. They could not cultivate martial arts and so on. However, some powerful demonic beast clans had inherited demonic beast divine abilities, and their power was not weaker than some of the top martial arts of humans. Furthermore, some demonic beasts that were so powerful that they could transform into human form not only had demonic beast divine abilities, but also inherited demonic beast divine abilities. Their strength was comparable to the top human experts. Even Yi Guchen did not expect the sky demonic ape to have comprehended a demonic beast divine ability. A demonic beast that had comprehended a divine ability was far more powerful than an ordinary demonic beast. Right now, the sky demonic ape was obviously forced into a desperate situation and was ready to fight to the death. This scene was also transmitted to the outside of the mountain through the sky surveying spiritual eyes, causing an uproar. It was the first time that a rank 4 demonic beast that could use a demonic beast divine ability had appeared. Many people did not think highly of Yi Guchen, although he had killed many rank 3 demonic beasts, and even the rank 4 earth demonic ape had died under his sword. The demonic beast divine ability could not be underestimated. However, the heavenly demonic ape's demonic beast divine ability could not be underestimated. Even the number 1 prodigy of each prefecture would have to retreat if they did not use their trump cards. Just when everyone thought that Yi Guchen would retreat, they were shocked to find that not only did Yi Guchen have no intention of retreating, but he also tightened his grip on his sword hilt, as if he was going to fight. He's crazy. This was what all the spectators thought. To fight against a 4th-ranked demonic beast that could use its divine ability, he must be crazy. At this moment within the mountain range, Yi Guchen's thoughts were calm. Just nice, I can use your sacred art to verify the god-slaying sword technique. Yi Guchen's eyes did not contain the slightest bit of fear. Instead, they were filled with an awe-inspiring battle intent. Not far away, Princess Yuanyang and Emo Lin, who was secretly observing, were also very surprised by Yi Guchen's choice. Emo Lin in particular was smiling coldly. He was happy to see such a scene. If Yi Guchen was seriously injured or even dead, it would be the best outcome for him. He could easily obtain the Yao core. I hope you don't die too miserably, Molin said sarcastically. In the arena, the demonic patterns on the heavenly demonic ape's body seemed to become more and more obvious. The red demonic patterns flickered as if they were breathing. Yi Guchen pushed the Azura power in his body into the falling star flexible sword. The heavenly sun Xianming fire burning on the edge of the sword was gradually covered by a layer of blood-red light. A blood-red aura that made one's heart tremble was slowly emitted from the sword. At this moment, whether it was Princess Yuanyang, Emolin, or the many cultivators observing the battle through the sky surveying spiritual eyes, the 7 major forces were all watching with rapt attention. They could see that Yi Guchen was about to display that powerful sword move filled with blood aura. It was also that sword move that could casually kill a rank 3 demonic beast. Even a rank 4 demonic beast would be killed if careless. But could this sword move block the rank 4 sky demonic ape sacred art? Everyone held their breaths in anticipation. Xiao. At a certain moment, the falling star flexible sword in Yi Guchen's hand was like an arrow released from a bow, bringing with it a glaring blood-red light as it attacked the sky demonic ape. God-slaying sword technique's first move, blood slaughter. The sky demonic ape's blood aura erupted from its body. The red demonic patterns on its body flowed endlessly. As it punched out, the demonic aura soared and vaguely formed a scarlet mountain on top of its head. This punch was like an ancient demonic mountain crashing down. Its power was extremely strong. Outside the mountain range, the cultivators were the elite disciples of the 7 major forces. Their pupils shrank. The sky demonic ape's punch was extremely powerful. Even a genius would have to avoid the attack. Otherwise, they would be seriously injured, or even killed by this punch. Come on. Yi Guchen's gaze was stern. He fully activated his Vajra celestial body, and the dragon elephant strength exploded. Woo-woo. The sky demonic ape's fist came crashing down. The air was compressed by this fist. That scarlet demonic mountain, accompanied by the fist, fell down on Yi Guchen's head. Boom! A powerful air wave from the fist spread out along the point of contact between the man and the beast. In an instant, smoke and dust filled the air. Rocks flew everywhere. The surrounding towering ancient trees were overturned by the air wave. Puchi! A figure was thrown out like a kite with a broken string, breaking 4 or 5 towering trees in succession. Looking at the figure, the spectators through the sky surveying spiritual eyes sighed. That figure was Yi Guchen. His body fell to the ground, creating a deep pit. Even with his powerful body, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. A 4th-ranked demonic beast with supernatural powers was indeed powerful. Not far away, Princess Yuanyang covered her mouth with both hands, and her eyebrows were anxious. No matter whether that person attacked for the beast's core or not, at least he saved her life. Therefore, Princess Yuanyang's beautiful red phoenix eyes were also filled with worry. Mo Lin, who was hiding in the shadows, sneered. Clearly, he had already expected this situation. Although Yi Guchen's defeat was within everyone's expectations, they still sighed when they saw it. What a pity for a dark horse. Yeah, if that Dugu Wubai was seriously injured now, it would be difficult for him to reach the end of the 2nd round. It's his fault for trying to be brave. He dared to fight against a 4th-ranked demonic beast with supernatural powers. He's crazy. Outside the mountain range, everyone was discussing endlessly. Inside the mountain range, Yi Guchen slowly stood up. He frowned and looked at the place where the smoke and dust was gradually dispersing. When the smoke and dust dispersed, the sky demonic ape's figure was revealed. Princess Yuanyang, Mo Lin, and even many spectators held their breaths in an instant. At this moment, the sky demonic ape's entire right arm, which was used to punch, exploded into a pile of rotten flesh. The sky demonic ape's eyes were red. It looked at Yi Guchen, and there was another kind of emotion in its ferocity. Fear. Everyone was speechless. Some of the people who had mocked Yi Guchen for overestimating himself also turned pale and embarrassed. They had thought that Yi Guchen was crushed by the sky demonic ape, but now it seemed that the sky demonic ape had also been seriously injured after using supernatural powers. As expected of a 4th-ranked demonic beast with supernatural powers, Yi Guchen adjusted the blood in his body and wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with one hand. He had a perfect body, and his recovery ability was amazing. Even if he was injured, he could recover in a very short time. If that's the case, I can only use that move. Yi Guchen looked serious. He knew that the sky demonic ape on the opposite side was obviously in a desperate situation and would completely use all its strength. The next move was a battle of life and death. Chapter 136. A murderous aura circulated around Yi Guchen's body. His eyes, which were as black as the abyss, were gradually covered with a faint layer of blood. It was not the eye of Azura, but the murderous aura instinctively gathered in his eyes. Could it be that Yi Guchen has an even more powerful trump card besides that terrifying sword move? Many warriors watching through the void light screen, including the people from the 7 major forces, stared at the light screen closely, afraid to miss a second. In their opinion, the power of the sword move that Yi Guchen had just displayed was already extremely shocking. If this wasn't his last resort, then this sudden emergence of a dark horse was truly a little terrifying. In the mountain range, the sky demonic ape seemed to have sensed the smell of death. Its eyes were completely covered with a scarlet color, and it had completely entered a state of madness. The bright red demon pattern appeared on its body again, and a strong demonic aura rose like a chi ray. At this moment, the sky demonic ape's chi, blood, and demonic power were completely activated to the extreme. Such a strong fluctuation made Princess Yuanyang and Emolin, who was hiding in the dark, extremely frightened. If they were to face this crazy sky demonic ape, they would most likely be crushed into a bloody pulp. But Yi Guchen did not have the slightest trace of fear. In his eyes, there was only this sword move left. The golden sea of qi in his dantian was crazily rotating, and the powerful golden true qi and the power of Azura poured into the meteor soft sword. In the blink of an eye, the originally blood-red sword was covered with a layer of extremely dense blood-red light. That degree even faintly revealed a kind of deathly stillness black. The world was silent, and in this silence, Yi Guchen's eyes were as red as blood, and countless demonic sounds lingered in his mind. This was the negative effect of the god-slaying sword technique. It could affect people's emotions, mind, and then make them fall into madness and so on. But how could Yi Guchen, who had experienced 9 lives of Azura illusions, be affected by such shallow emotions? Completely blocking the demonic sounds in his mind, Yi Guchen stabbed out with his sword. With one strike, heaven and earth lost their color. The second style of the god-slaying sword technique, only demon. The sword was graceful, and a sword turned into a demon. At this moment, it was as if Yi Guchen had truly transformed into a sword demon. The blood-red sword edge continued forward, causing the heavens and earth to dim, as it was covered in a layer of blood-red radiance. On the other side, the sky demonic ape had also unleashed the last of its strength, using its remaining ape arm to attack. A gigantic and illusory crimson demonic mountain broke through the air, as if it had come from the primordial times, bringing with it a tremendous force. Boom! An incomparably powerful fluctuation swept through the surroundings. The forest was destroyed, and deep pitch-black cracks appeared on the ground. Even Princess Yuanyang was sent flying dozens of feet away by the shockwave. Emolin, who was hiding in the dark, hurriedly retreated. The power of the shockwaves was extremely shocking. After the ultimate collision, the world fell silent. The entire forest was in a mess, as if it had been trampled by countless ferocious beasts. In midair, the sky surveying spiritual eyes that had dodged the aftershocks also aimed downwards. Many warriors in the outside world held their breaths, wanting to know the result. A cloud of dust dispersed, and Yi Guchen's figure appeared. His clothes were torn in many places, and blood was dripping from the corner of his mouth. His aura had dropped a lot, as if he had been severely injured. However, only Yi Guchen himself knew that although he looked severely injured, it was actually not. The perfect physical body, and the Vajradharma body, made Yi Guchen's physique abnormally strong. The most important thing was that Yi Guchen had to hide his strength. If Yi Guchen was still as lively as a dragon, and as lively as a tiger after such a collision, and his aura did not drop, then it would be too conspicuous, attracting suspicion. Before he had completely decided to join a certain force, Yi Guchen could not reveal his identity as a sword master. After seeing Yi Guchen's aura drop and his serious injuries, the warriors in the outside world all sighed. Their gazes then turned to the other side, and with one look, many warriors' faces froze. Because in that cloud of dust, only a pile of collapsed flesh was left, like a mountain of flesh. That mountain of flesh was the sky demonic ape. Such power! Many warriors sucked in a breath, and there was deep shock in their eyes. To be able to turn the sky demonic ape, known for its strong physique, into a pile of rotten flesh, how terrifying was the lethality of this sword technique. Seeing his own battle record, Yi Guchen was also a little surprised, but overall, he was still calm. After all, the lethality of the first move of the god-slaying sword technique was strong enough, and the second move would definitely be stronger. It was just that the consumption would be greater. Yi Guchen probed the true qi in his qi. He had lost 20% of it, twice as much as the first move, blood slaughter. Yi Guchen had not finished cultivating the third move of the god-slaying sword technique, but the consumption should be greater. Overall, Yi Guchen had gained quite a lot this time. 2 rank 4 monster cores were 100 points, which was equivalent to 10 rank 3 monster cores. With these 2 rank 4 monster cores, Yi Guchen could be considered to have passed the second stage in the bag. Just as Yi Guchen was about to take the monster cores, a cold voice suddenly sounded. Hold on, brother. It's not good for you to take 2 rank 4 Yao cores for yourself. In the distant forest, a person slowly walked out. He was wearing white clothes and had black hair, and he was staring coldly at Yi Guchen. Emolin, what are you doing? On the other side, Princess Yuanyang walked over and glared at Emolin. Do I know you? Yi Guchen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said indifferently. Oh, you don't know me? I am Yuanyang Mansion's #1 genius, Emolin. Emolin's tone was slightly arrogant. Hearing this, Yi Guchen shook his head. You. Fine. Let's not talk about other things for now. These 2 monster apes were attracted by me, and the earth monster ape was almost killed by me before you came to pick the fruits of my labor. So, don't you think you should give me an explanation? Emolin slightly gritted his teeth, and his gaze became colder. Emolin, don't be so shameless. You were the one who was scared and couldn't defeat the 2 devil apes. You even abandoned me and ran away. Later, when young Master Dugu appeared and killed the devil apes, you stood out. How can you be so shameless? Princess Yuanyang shouted. Her face was red with anger. As a princess, she was arrogant and couldn't bear to be taken advantage of. Emolin abandoning her already made her extremely disgusted. So, Yi Guchen turned his head and looked at Emolin indifferently. So it's simple. Give these 2 rank 4 monster cores to me, and you can leave safely. Emolin put his hands behind his back and ignored Princess Yuanyang. An 8th cycle Qi refinement realm aura vaguely spread out and suppressed Yi Guchen. If Yi Guchen wasn't injured, Emolin wouldn't dare to be so brazen. But after fighting with the sky monster ape, Yi Guchen did look like he was seriously injured. That was why Emolin was so unscrupulous. What if I say no? Yi Guchen said with a playful tone and raised his eyebrows. Then you can die. Emolin's tone was cold. Chapter 137. In Emolin's opinion, Yi Guchen should be a genius without any background, but with some talent. It wasn't impossible to kill such a genius. At least he didn't have to fear revenge. The various scenes of Emolin and Yi Guchen were transmitted to the outside world through the sky surveying spiritual eyes. The spectating cultivators all snorted disdainfully. As the #1 prodigy of Yuanyang Mansion, Emolin had actually done such a thing. It was truly despicable. Among the spectators, there were also members of Yuanyang Mansion's Mo family. At this moment, the members of the Mo family all had embarrassed expressions. Some of them even wanted to find a hole to hide in. However, there were also a few cultivators who believed that there were no rules in the second stage. Emolin's act of snatching Yi Guchen's monster core wasn't against the rules. It was just that such a method was rather unpleasant to watch. Within the mountain range, Yi Guchen was expressionless when he heard Emolin's words. He had already expected Emolin to say this. However, although Yi Guchen appeared to be in a sorry state, and his aura was weak, he was in good condition. However, he was still in good condition. If Emolin really wanted to make a move, Yi Guchen could guarantee that he would regret it. Emolin, how can you be so shameless? Princess Yuanyang took a step forward and stood in front of Yi Guchen. Although she was spoiled and willful, her heart wasn't too bad. Previously, she had said that she wanted to take Yi Guchen as a sword attendant, but it was only because she was too infatuated with Yi Guchen. This was the so-called hatred born from love. Looking at the girl standing in front of him, Yi Guchen was slightly stunned. He didn't have any feelings for Princess Yuanyang from beginning to end. They were like passers-by. However, Princess Yuanyang's current actions slightly changed Yi Guchen's view of her. Back off. Yi Guchen reached out and pressed Princess Yuanyang's shoulder, pushing her to the side. With Princess Yuanyang's cultivation, she was still unable to resist Emolin. Young Master Dugu, then you. Princess Yuanyang hesitated. In her opinion, Yi Guchen had just killed the sky demonic ape, and was already an arrow at the end of its flight. How could he fight against Emolin, who was in perfect condition? It's just Moen. It's not enough to. Yi Guchen said casually. However, these words caused the corners of Emolin's eyes to twitch. The veins on his temples throbbed, and his gaze instantly became as gloomy as a cold abyss. Dugawubai, how confident are you to say such words? Emolin made his move. True chi with a cold attribute gathered in the center of his palm. In the end it let out a piercingly cold whistling sound. Spirit-level martial art, 9 fiendish Een Wind Palm. Emolin sent out a palm strike with a cold look in his eyes. He wanted to get rid of Yi Guchen, who was an eyesore. Yi Guchen smiled. His smile was casual. Although he might reveal some of his trump cards when he fought again, such as his extremely powerful physical body and recovery ability, he was confident that he would not be able to defeat Yang Kai. However, Yi Guchen would not sit still and wait for his death. Just as Yi Guchen was about to attack again, a sword light broke through the air like a meteor. It was accompanied by a sweet voice that Yi Guchen was familiar with. Shameless person, accept the punishment of the righteous heroine, Su Jianshi. Boom! The sword light collided with Emolin's palm strike. Emolin was forced to retreat, and a bloody mark appeared on his palm. Who is it? Emolin was furious. Not far away, a girl in green stepped lightly on the branches of an ancient tree. She was like a fairy in the forest. Her figure was graceful, and she glided over like a light cloud. Following her graceful steps, the silver bells on her fair ankles also emitted waves of lively and crisp sounds. Her beautiful eyes were like limpid autumn waters, and her face was delicate. Who else could it be but Su Jianshi? It's you, Su Jianshi. Emolin's eyes flashed with surprise at first. After all, such a beautiful girl like Su Jianshi was even more outstanding than Princess Yuanyang in terms of looks and strength. However, Emolin's face turned ugly in the next moment. It was obvious that Su Jianshi had come for Yi Guchen. Emolin's heart burned with jealousy when he thought that such a beautiful girl had come for Yi Guchen. Su Jianshi, why are you here? Yi Guchen was a little puzzled. How could I not know about such a big commotion here? Moreover, I have my own methods. Su Jianshi winked at Yi Guchen, then glanced at Emolin. Do you still want to attack? Su Jianshi waved her fist threateningly. Emolin's eyes were gloomy, and his face was pale. He knew Su Jianshi's strength. She was at least the #1 prodigy. Although he was also the #1 prodigy, he was still a little weak. Not to mention, Yi Guchen was eyeing him like a tiger watching its prey. Fine. Duga Wubai, you're lucky to be hiding behind a woman. Next time, if you make me. Before Emolin could finish his sentence, Su Jianshi's sword came stabbing at him. Emolin hurriedly used the cloud roaming steps and retreated. You're full of nonsense. Su Jianshi snorted, and turned to look at Yi Guchen. Then, she glanced at the embarrassed Princess Yuanyang. For some reason, Su Jianshi felt that Princess Yuanyang was an eyesore. She snorted and ignored Yi Guchen. She swayed her waist and left. Yi Guchen couldn't understand the girl's thoughts. He took out the beast cores of the 2 Class 4 demonic beasts, and followed behind Su Jianshi. Princess Yuanyang didn't follow them shamelessly. In the dense forest, mottled light shone down, giving the dark forest a little bit of warmth. A young man and a young woman walked one after the other. Su Jianshi, thank you for your help this time, Yi Guchen said. Su Jianshi sullenly walked in front, and kicked the stones on the ground from time to time. After a while, she said with a bit of anger, with your true strength, even if you were injured, it shouldn't have been too difficult to deal with Emolin. But you still helped. Yi Guchen faintly smiled. Do you like to be the hero saving the damsel in distress? I saw how Princess Yuanyang looked at you with admiration. Su Jianshi puffed up her cheeks and looked around. Yi Guchen was speechless. He only wanted the beast cores of the class 4 demonic beasts. He had lived 2 lives and didn't get close to women. Naturally, he didn't know the thoughts of a woman. Shaking his head, Yi Guchen wisely remained silent. Sigh, calling you a silly boy is not wrong. Su Jianshi held her forehead and sighed. She gently sighed and said, forget it. Let's not talk about this for now. Do you know anything about the Myriad Beasts Blood Pool? Myriad Beasts Blood Pool? Yi Guchen revealed a puzzled expression. Su Jianshi pursed her lips and said, do you know the prodigy of the Great Desolation Mansion, Bloodhand Luocheng? Yi Guchen thought for a bit, and remembered. There was indeed such a prodigy. Rumor has it that he cultivated a demonic cultivation method, and condensed a powerful blood hand that could shake spirit rune weapons. Yi Guchen asked, is this Myriad Beasts Blood Pool related to Luocheng? Chapter 138. That's right. Luocheng cultivates the Blood Dao cultivation method, and is extremely sensitive to blood qi. He accidentally discovered the traces of a rank 4 monster, Blood Demon. There must be 1,000 beasts blood pool in the Blood Demon's lair. Su Jianshi's eyes were filled with excitement as she spoke. Blood Demon. Yi Guchen was slightly surprised. Blood Demon was an extremely strange monster. It had a humanoid shape, but its body was like an octopus with many blood-red tentacles. Even among rank 4 demonic beasts, blood demons were the most threatening and difficult to deal with. Yi Guchen might have the ability to kill the heaven and earth demonic ape, but he had no confidence in facing a blood demon. However, what Yi Guchen was most interested in wasn't the blood demon, but the 1,000 beasts blood pool. You should know that the blood demon's reproduction is extremely strange. It collects the blood essence of many monsters to form the 1,000 beasts blood pool. Then, the female blood demon will lay eggs in the pool while the male blood demon will guard outside. I vaguely heard that there are traces of a rank 5 female blood demon. Rank 5 blood demon? Yi Guchen's expression changed slightly. If it was a rank 4 blood demon, they could still have some hope. However, a rank 5 monster was almost impossible. Most rank 5 monsters were in the divine soul realm, and were close to the life and death threshold. With their chi refinement realm cultivation, dealing with a rank 4 monster was already their limit. A rank 5 monster was far beyond their ability. Since there's a rank 5 monster, I'm afraid there's not much hope for the 1,000 beasts blood pool. Yi Guchen muttered. The 1,000 beasts blood pool was condensed from the blood essence of many monsters. If one could sit cross-legged in it and cultivate, the benefits would be indescribable. At the very least, it would allow one's cultivation to reach a higher level. Most importantly, the 1,000 beasts blood pool had a great effect on body tempering. Yi Guchen's marrow cleansing scripture could use the energy of the 1,000 beasts blood pool to advance further. But if there was a 5th-order demonic beast guarding it, then Yi Guchen would be helpless. Su Jianshi rolled her eyes and said, not necessarily. Why do blood demons condense the myriad beasts blood pool? Of course it is to reproduce. If a female blood demon lays eggs, it will consume a lot of her essence blood and strength. That's why the male blood demons are guarding outside. How do you know so much? Yi Guchen looked at Su Jianshi in confusion. Su Jianshi giggled and reached out with her white and tender hand. There was a dragonfly-like bug on his palm, but when Yi Guchen looked at it carefully, he realized that the dragonfly-like bug was made of metal, and there were faint spirit patterns flashing on it. This is, Su Jianshi giggled and said, I call it Little Obedient. It's a toy made by Uncle Ghost Axe in Lotus Village. To a certain extent, it's similar to the Sky Surveying Spirit Eye. However, this Little Obedient can only detect sounds and not images. Su Jianshi giggled. Amazing. You can actually fuse spirit patterns into such a small object. Yi Guchen sighed. This exquisite forging method wasn't far from the old drunkards. Yi Guchen was now quite interested in Lotus Village, where Su Jianshi was from. Okay, now that the news has been leaked, Luocheng has also gone into hiding. With his strength, I don't think he can deal with a 4th-order blood demon alone. We can use Little Obedient to track Luocheng's tracks. Su Jianshi slightly raised her sharp chin, as if she was determined to win. Yiguchen nodded. If the situation was as Su Jianshi said, then they could really take a gamble. If they succeeded, then it would be a 4th-order beast core, a 5th-order beast core, and a myriad beasts blood pool. Such a generous bargaining chip was enough for them to take a gamble. Little Obedient, go. Su Jianshi poured her true chi into Little Obedient. The dragonfly-like spirit pattern weapon flapped its wings and flew into the distance. In Su Jianshi's white ear, there was a small object made of metal. It was inscribed with spirit patterns that could transmit all kinds of sounds. The Black Sky mountain range was vast and boundless. After several days of hunting, many demonic beasts had fallen at the hands of the prodigies. Many cultivators had also died in the mouths of the demonic beasts. In the dense forest, a red-robed figure was looking left and right. He was like a bloody shadow that moved quickly. Damn it! I wanted to quietly hunt for beast cores, but I didn't expect the news to be leaked. Now not only do I not have the chance to hunt demonic beasts, but there are also many people tracking my tracks. The figure who was muttering to himself was a young man with a ferocious face. The most eye-catching part of his body was naturally his right arm. His entire arm was covered in a thick layer of blood armor that was branded with demonic patterns. It looked very strange. Damn it! If I can obtain the myriad beast blood pool, my crimson hand demon arm will be more complete. At that time, I won't be inferior to those top prodigies. This man with a bloody hand was naturally Luo Cheng of the Great Desolate Mansion. The cultivation technique he cultivated was a spirit-grade cultivation technique, the demonic blood-body tempering art, that he obtained by chance. At the end of this cultivation technique, his entire body would be like his right arm, turning into a crimson blood armor. However, with Luo Cheng's resources and strength, he could only refine a right arm. Moreover, it wasn't complete. However, thanks to his cultivation technique, he could sense the myriad beast blood pool in the blood demon lair. Unfortunately, with his strength, he couldn't deal with the rank 4 blood demons guarding the perimeter, let alone the rank 5 blood demons in the lair. Later on, the news was accidentally leaked, and Luo Cheng was investigated by many people. While Luo Cheng was thinking about what to do next, he didn't notice that a metallic dragonfly had quietly landed on the grass not far away. Who is it? At a certain moment, Luo Cheng's eyes suddenly lit up as he stared solemnly into the depths of the dark forest. An ordinary-looking young man in a black robe slowly walked out. It's you, Duga Wubai? Luo Cheng frowned slightly. He naturally knew that Duga Wubai was extremely talented. However, after the actual battle with the black puppet demon, he felt that his true strength wasn't very high. This was also the reason why Luo Cheng didn't retreat. He believed that Duga Wubai couldn't threaten him. Seeing that Luo Cheng didn't seem to have much of a reaction, Yi Guchen smiled faintly and said, "Tell me where the blood demon lair is." "With just you," Luo Cheng sneered. "With just me?" Yi Guchen nodded. With a clang, the meteorite soft sword appeared in a flash. There was a cold light on the sword's edge. Luo Cheng frowned again. As a member of the Great Desolate Mansion, he often fought with the barbarian tribe in the Land of 5 Elements. As a result, the warriors in this mansion had very strong combat instincts. Although Luo Cheng looked down on Yi Guchen in the beginning, he felt a sense of threat when Yi Guchen held the meteorite soft sword in his hand. It's best to run. Luo Cheng narrowed his eyes. He was very cunning. He didn't choose to attack. Instead, he turned around and fled. Yi Guchen smiled and rushed forward. Chapter 139. Luo Cheng's figure seemed to have turned into a bloody shadow in the dark forest. That was his movement martial art blood illusion steps. However, Yi Guchen's figure followed closely behind him like a gangrene in a tarsal bone. Yi Guchen looked relaxed. He was not worried that Luo Cheng would run away. Damn it! In front of him, Luo Cheng's eyes were extremely gloomy. He knew that running away like this was not the way out. He could not shake off Yi Guchen completely. Since you are courting death, don't blame me. Luo Cheng's eyes were vicious. In an instant, he turned around quickly and extended a bloody demonic arm to attack Yi Guchen. This attack was extremely sudden. If it were an ordinary person, they would not have any time to react. However, Yi Guchen seemed to have expected it. He stabbed out with his meteorite soft sword at the same time. Clang! When the tip of the meteorite soft sword stabbed into Luo Cheng's bloody arm, a metallic vibrating sound was heard. This arm. Looking at Luo Cheng's arm that was covered in blood armor, Yi Guchen was also slightly surprised. Luo Cheng's bloody demonic arm was indeed something. However, he did not know that after this attack, Luo Cheng's expression changed slightly. This was because he felt a piercing pain coming from his palm. One should know that the skill he was most proud of was that his bloody demonic arm could go head-on against a spiritual inscription divine weapon without feeling any pain. However, after the exchange of blows, Luo Cheng's entire bloody arm was trembling slightly. Damn it! This kid's weapon is definitely not ordinary, Luo Cheng thought to himself. To be able to make his bloody demonic arm tremble and feel a piercing pain, it was definitely a middle-grade divine weapon or above. Yi Guchen did not continue to fight. He activated the Phantom Spirit inscription on the meteorite soft sword and performed the ultimate move of the Golden Snake Sword skill, Mysterious Sword Gleam Snake. After the Phantom Spirit inscription was added, the entire meteorite soft sword seemed to have become translucent. The sword gleam was like a mysterious snake that moved around in a tricky way. Clang! 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 The sound of metal exploding rang out continuously. That was the sound of sparks bursting out when the tip of the meteor soft sword touched Luo Cheng's arm. This brat's sword attack speed is actually so fast. Luo Cheng's face was filled with shock. In the first trial, he had seen Yi Guchen's performance against the puppet. Compared to now, it was like a completely different person. Yi Guchen's lips curled into a cold smile as he slashed out with his sword again. Puchi! Luo Cheng was blasted back, and a small crack appeared on his bloody hand. Luo Cheng was dumbfounded. His bloody hand had always been able to withstand spirit rune divine weapons, but now it was in danger of cracking. But what he didn't know was that Yi Guchen's meteor soft sword was a divine weapon forged 100,000 times. Its sharpness far exceeded that of ordinary divine weapons. Yi Guchen didn't delay any longer. Urging the Azura power in his body, a crimson light slowly crept towards the sword edge. Feeling the burst of blood chi, Luo Cheng's face turned slightly pale. The murderous aura that erupted from the ordinary-looking young man before him was even more intense than that of a person who had cultivated the Devil Dao cultivation method. Blood Devil's great palm print. Luo Cheng felt that his life was in danger, and the crimson genuine chi in his body gathered on his bloody hand. Thick crimson light gathered on his palm, vaguely forming a palm print. On the other side, Yi Guchen's sword vibrated as he slashed out. God-slaying sword skill blood slaughter. Boom! A violent crimson airwave spread out, destroying the surrounding forest and cracking the ground. Puchi! A figure was blasted away, accompanied by a broken bloody arm. The arm was also covered with cracks. My blood devil arm. Luo Cheng spat out blood, and his face was extremely pale. He looked at Yi Guchen with fear in his eyes. Yi Guchen's expression was indifferent. To cultivate such a cultivation method, he must have killed many people. Yi Guchen wasn't a chivalrous swordsman like Su Jianshi. He didn't deal with Luo Cheng to punish evil, but purely for the myriad beast's blood pool. Dugawubai, just you wait. Luo Cheng's eyes were filled with hatred. At this moment, another figure quietly descended like a fairy. Su Jianshi. Luo Cheng's face turned ashen when he saw Su Jianshi. He knew that he had fallen into the hands of these two people. He couldn't even deal with Yi Guchen, let alone Su Jianshi, who was comparable to the #1 Sky Pride. Tell us honestly where the blood demon lair is, and we might spare your life. Otherwise, Su Jianshi narrowed her eyes, reflecting a dangerous light. Luo Cheng lowered his head, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He then raised his head, gritted his teeth and nodded. Under Luo Cheng's lead, Yi Guchen and Su Jianshi arrived at a hidden basin. This basin was extremely small, and it was like a hidden bowl in the Black Sky mountain range. Unlike the other parts of the mountain range, the vegetation here seemed to be covered with a faint layer of blood. The blood demon lair is in the center of the basin, Luo Cheng said in a low voice. Yi Guchen and Su Jianshi looked over and saw a cave in the center of the basin, under the cover of vines and trees. The ground outside the cave was covered in blood. The bloodstains were like the traces left behind by a dead prey that had been dragged. "It's here," Luo Cheng said and sat on the ground. In his mind, it was impossible for him to face a rank 4 blood demon alone. He would definitely need 2 people to take action. If Su Jianshi and Yi Guchen attacked together, he would have a chance to escape. However, imagination was beautiful, reality was cruel. Su Jianshi pouted and said, "Silly boy, can you kill a rank 4 blood demon alone? I'll keep an eye on this guy to prevent him from playing any tricks." "Sure." Yi Guchen nodded. "Huh, do you think a blood demon is an ordinary rank 4 monster?" Luo Cheng sneered when he heard Yi Guchen's words. Yi Guchen didn't say anything, and directly approached the cave. Before he reached the entrance of the cave, Yi Guchen felt a strong and nauseating smell of blood coming at him. "It seems that this is the blood demon's lair," Yi Guchen thought to himself. Luo Cheng wasn't playing any tricks, but they couldn't rule out the possibility that Luo Cheng wanted to use the blood demon to kill them. However, Yi Guchen didn't care. A blood shadow suddenly flew out from the pitch-black cave. Yi Guchen's eyes turned cold. The meteorite soft sword almost instinctively clashed with the blood shadow. However, to Yi Guchen's surprise, the blood shadow was actually a blood-colored tentacle that wrapped around the sword. A blood-colored humanoid monster slowly moved out of the cave. Its body was like blood-red mucus, and its many blood-colored tentacles swayed. This was a rank 4 monster, the blood demon. Humph. Facing such a troublesome blood demon, Yi Guchen wasn't afraid at all, because he had a way to restrain the blood demon. Boom! Scarlet flames with a tinge of dark blue surged out from Yi Guchen's hand and spread toward the meteorite soft sword. The blood-colored tentacle wrapped around the sword was instantly burned to the point of emitting white smoke. Chapter 140. The Heavenly Sun Xianming Fire had a restraining effect on ordinary demonic beasts. For the blood demon, whose body was mostly made of blood, the Heavenly Sun Flame was a power that greatly restrained it. Therefore, when Yi Guchen displayed the Heavenly Sun Xianming Fire, the rank 4 blood demon let out an ear-piercing shriek, as if it had encountered a formidable enemy. Swoosh! 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 3 blood-colored tentacles flew over like life-reaping blood shadows, emitting a whooshing sound as they tore through the air. On the edge of Yi Guchen's sword, a heavenly sun flame blazed, emitting a power of extreme heat and extreme cold. When the sword collided with the blood-colored tentacles, those thorny tentacles began to sizzle and melt in the face of the Heavenly Sun Xianming Fire. The blood demon's most powerful move was its poisonous tentacles. Whether it was a demonic beast or a human cultivator, once entangled, it would be difficult for them to break free, and they would eventually die from the poison. However, the Heavenly Sun Flame was the bane of the blood demon. Therefore, the blood demon's tentacles posed no threat to Yi Guchen. On the edge of the meteorite soft sword, the Qi-gathering spirit rune emitted a dazzling brilliance as vigorous true Qi gathered in the spirit rune. At the same time, Yi Guchen poured the Azura power in his body into the meteorite soft sword. In an instant, the entire sword was covered in a layer of blood-colored brilliance. God-slaying sword art, sanguine slaughter. The sword pierced straight at the blood demon. The blood-colored tentacles were directly torn apart by the sharp blood-colored sword ray. Poochie! There was a dull sound, as if the sword had pierced into a gel. Yi Guchen was slightly surprised. Although the meteorite soft sword had pierced through the blood demon's body, it didn't seem to have suffered any fatal injuries. According death. In the distance, Luo Cheng, who was under Su Jianshi's surveillance, sneered disdainfully. If the blood demon was so easy to deal with, he would have made his move long ago. Why would he delay until now? However, just as Luo Cheng was mocking Yi Guchen for overestimating himself, the blood demon in the distance suddenly let out a painful cry. That's... Luo Cheng's eyes widened, and his face was filled with shock. The meteorite soft sword that had pierced into the blood demon's body suddenly erupted with an intense heavenly sun profound nether fire. The raging flames enveloped the entire blood demon. The blood on the surface of the blood demon's body was being consumed at a rapid rate, and its entire body shrunk in an instant. On the other side, Su Jianshi also looked at Yi Guqin with a strange gaze. Yi Guqin had never revealed his worldly flame before, so even Su Jianshi didn't know that he had such a method. Although the heaven and earth unique flames were not as rare as the immemorial famed swords, it was still a rare opportunity. Right now, the rank 4 blood demon was burning with heavenly sun Xianming fire. When Yi Guqin pulled back his sword, the blood demon's wound actually squirmed rapidly, trying to heal itself. Yi Guqin's heart trembled slightly. If he didn't have the special flames of heaven and earth, he would have to spend a lot of effort to deal with the blood demon. But now, the blood demon was being burned by the special flames. It screamed and turned around, wanting to return to its nest. There's a blood demon core in the blood demon's body. Take it out and it'll die for sure, Su Jianshi shouted from afar. Yi Guqin nodded slightly, and the sword radiance with the strange fire appeared again. Puchi! A series of muffled sounds rang out as the blood demon's tentacles were all cut off by Yi Guqin. Its body was also covered in crisscrossing wounds. Found it! Yi Guqin focused his gaze on the blood demon's chest. A blood-red blood demon core was embedded in the wound. He stabbed out with the meteorite soft sword and cleverly stabbed into the blood demon core. With a flick, he extracted the blood-red blood demon core. After losing its demon core, the level 4 blood demon let out an extremely ear-splitting shriek before it was reduced to a puddle of black, stinky blood in a cluster of flames. Silly boy, you did well. Su Jianshi's eyes curved into crescents as she smiled happily. On the other hand, Luo Cheng's face was ashen. He had obediently brought Yi Guqin and the others here because he wanted to save his life, and also because he wanted to use the blood demon to kill the two of them. However, he didn't expect Yi Guqin to possess a special flame that could restrain the blood demon. This was equivalent to helping Yi Guqin and the others. In addition, Yi Guqin had severed his bloodhand demon arm, so he naturally hated Yi Guqin. What should we do next? There might be a rank 5 female blood demon inside, Su Jianshi said with a frown. Then let me go in and take a look. If it's really as you said and the blood demon is laying eggs, I might be able to deal with it, Yi Guqin said casually. Can you really do it? Let me go with you, Su Jianshi said worriedly. Although she believed in Yi Guqin's strength, a level 5 blood demon was definitely stronger than a level 4 blood demon, even if its strength was greatly reduced after laying eggs. Stay here and watch this guy. If I can't defeat it, I'll escape, Yi Guqin said. Su Jianshi didn't insist. Yi Guqin actually wanted to test his true strength. Ever since he participated in the 10 Prefectures Elite Gathering, he had never used his full strength. He also wanted to know if his current strength was comparable to a rank 5 blood demon. Yi Guqin walked into the blood demon's lair alone. Luo Cheng sneered. Previously, Yi Guqin had killed a rank 4 blood demon, which was beyond his expectations. However, a rank 5 blood demon was far stronger than a rank 4 blood demon. Although Yi Guqin possessed a special flame, Luo Cheng didn't think it would be so easy. Dugu Wu Bai, it's best if you die inside, Luo Cheng thought to himself with a ruthless look in his eyes. Inside the blood demon's lair, there was a deep passageway that led to the depths. The passageway was filled with the skeletons of demonic beasts and human warriors. There was also a strong smell of blood coming from the depths of the lair. Yi Guqin could vaguely sense a fiendish aura that made him apprehensive. As Yi Guqin went deeper, he entered a narrow stone cave. There was a completely different world inside. Many demonic beast skeletons were stacked together like walls. In the middle was a thick and viscous blood pool. While it carried a strong smell of blood, it also contained boundless life essence. In the blood pool, there were some translucent blood-colored eggs floating. Myriad beast blood pool. Yi Guqin's eyes lit up. After witnessing Xia Yubing's strength, Yi Guqin also needed to increase his strength. If he cultivated in the myriad beast blood pool, it would be enough to improve his cultivation. Moreover, the myriad beast blood pool had the effect of tempering the body. It could further improve Yi Guqin's marrow cleansing scripture. Therefore, Yi Guqin had to obtain the myriad beast blood pool. But would it be so simple? Hiss! A scalp-numbing sound rang out. Then, Yi Guqin saw a blood demon that was even larger than the rank 4 blood demon from before appear in his field of vision. Rank 5 Blood Demon. Yi Guchen's eyes were extremely serious. Chapter 141. The Blood Demon in front of Yi Guchen was more than twice the size of the previous rank 4 Blood Demons. The biggest difference between a rank 5 Blood Demon and a rank 4 Blood Demon was that this Blood Demon's body was covered in blood-red scales. These blood-red scales covered the Blood Demon's body like a suit of blood-red armor. And this rank 5 Blood Demon had dozens of blood-red tentacles on its body. Each tentacle was covered with sharp thorns. If an ordinary martial artist were to touch them, they would die without a doubt. As expected of a rank 5 demonic beast, Yi Guchen gripped the meteorite soft sword and frowned. The demonic chi emitted by this rank 5 Blood Demon was comparable to the peak of the divine soul realm. It was even close to a life and death threshold expert. But what caught Yi Guchen's attention was that although the Blood Demon's aura was strong, it was very weak. It gave people the feeling that it was strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw the blood-red eggs floating in the 10,000 beast blood pool, and understood. This blood demon must have already laid eggs. That was why it had lost so much of its blood essence and strength. Let me see how strong a rank 5 demonic beast is. Yi Guchen's eyes flashed with a cold light. After entering the elite meeting, he had not used his full strength. Now he finally had the chance to display his full strength. He also wanted to know what the difference was between him and a rank 5 blood demon. Facing the blood demon, Yi Guchen did not dare to hold back. The moment the eye of Azura was ring on his finger flashed, Yi Guchen saw that the blood-red sword appeared again. Suddenly slowed down. Yi Guchen used two swords at the beginning of the fight. Of course, this was relative. The killing move of the Aurora Quicksword eyesight had become sharper. His right hand used the ultimate move of the moon-piercing sword art. And his figure flashed between the blood-colored tentacles. Sharp sword lights. He stabbed out with his sword again, with the heavenly sun dark fire, an extremely sharp toward the blood demon. His figure turned into a pitch-black sounds were heard. Shadow Calamity Swordsmanship and vanishing shadow soft sword stabbed the blood demon's blood-red scales. Three blood-colored tentacles pierced through the air. These sword lights were actually down unable to destroy the blood demon's blood-red armor. Even the heavenly sun dark fire, which had always been successful, genuine chi surged out of his golden sea of blood-red armor, forming a guardian vajra around his body. Yi Guchen's eyes were also filled with surprise. The protection of all heaven's defensive power even stronger than the ice fire dragon lizard's crystal armor. The one attacking Yi Guchen was a fifth-rank blood demon, didn't succeed, whose strength was close to the life and death threshold. Numerous blood-colored tentacles with blood-colored tentacles smashed into the guardian vajra. His speed was so fast that only a series of blood-red afterimages could be seen. Yi Guchen's gaze turned cold. Guchen's face his pupils were instantly covered by a bloody mouthful of blood. Eye of the Azura on his back, activate. A glaring bright red wound appeared, and purple venom was spreading from it. Yi Guchen's heart trembled. He activated the heavenly sun Xianming fire to burn the venom and flesh. White smoke rose from the wound. Yi Guchen took the opportunity to retreat. How troublesome. Yi Guchen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand, his eyes cold. If it weren't for his perfect body, and the protection of all heaven's defense, he would have died. If it weren't for the fact that the 5th-rank blood demon wasn't at its peak, he would have died. Yi Guchen wouldn't have been able to survive this attack. Again, Yi Guchen vibrated his qi and blood. His perfect body had a strong recovery ability, and the charred wound on his back had already begun to wriggle and heal. Great Thousand Wheel. Yi Guchen performed the Great Thousand Sword art, and the trajectories of his sword overlapped, forming an extremely sharp wheel of sword qi that pierced through the air toward the blood demon. Clang! Clang! The Great Thousand Wheel bombarded the blood armor on the blood demon's chest and cut into it slightly, causing cracks to spread on the surface of the blood armor. Hiss! The blood demon went berserk again, and more than 10 blood-colored tentacles seemed to form a giant blood-colored net that enveloped Yi Guchen. Yi Guchen activated the 360 golden sword veins in his body. In an instant, the power of the sword qi on Yi Guchen's 2 swords multiplied. A wisp of vicious and dense blood-red sword qi slowly rose from the 2 long swords. God-slaying sword art blood slaughter. Yi Guchen actually performed blood slaughter with 2 long swords at the same time. With the support of the Great Perfection Sword Vein, the power of bloodthirst had once again skyrocketed to a terrifying level. The 2 blood slaughters tore apart the blood-colored tentacles and bombarded the same spot on the blood demon's chest. Crack! However, with a cracking sound, the incomparably tough blood armor was instantly covered in cracks and then completely shattered. Hiss! The blood demon was furious. Its demonic qi soared into the sky, and many blood-colored tentacles lashed out like giant blood-colored pythons. Boom! 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 Yi Guchen's figure flew backward. Although he used the 2 swords to cut off some of the tentacles, some still bombarded his body. Yi Guchen vomited blood continuously, and his face turned pale. On the other hand, the blood armor on the blood demon's chest shattered, revealing the soft and sticky body inside. As long as Yi Guchen obtained its demonic core, he would be able to completely kill this rank 5 blood demon. Kill! Yi Guchen's eyes were cold. In order to obtain the 1000 Beast blood pool, he had to kill this rank 5 blood demon, even if he had to pay a price. This rank 5 blood demon seemed to have sensed the danger of death. Some blood-colored demonic patterns gradually appeared on the surface of its bright red body. Demonic beast theurgy. Yi Guchen's face darkened slightly. Previously, the rank 4 demonic beast, heavenly demonic ape's theurgy had cost him a lot. Although this rank 5 blood demon in front of him was not at its peak, its theurgy was obviously more terrifying. However, in order to improve his strength, Yi Guchen had to kill this blood demon. Heaven-splitting sword soul come out! Yi Guchen activated the heaven-splitting sword soul in his body. Streaks of green sword soul burst out from his body, and its power shook the heavens and the earth. The blood demon's demonic qi soared into the sky, accompanied by many blood-colored tentacles. Some blood-red demonic qi chains appeared. The tip of these demonic qi chains was as sharp as the tail of a scorpion. A powerful move was about to be triggered. Chapter 142. The blood-red tentacles, accompanied by chains of demonic aura, pierced through the air. With its powerful penetrating power, it could probably even penetrate through the hardest basalt. Yi Guchen activated the heaven-splitting sword soul in his body, and 1,000 heaven-splitting sword souls swept out like a flood. Of course, Yi Guchen had 10,000 heaven-splitting sword souls in his body, and he had only released 10% of them. The green sword soul seemed to form a green sword qi flood, colliding with the blood demon's demonic beast superpower. Sword qi and demonic aura rampaged, exploding with a deafening sound. The entire blood demon lair was shaking violently. Boom! 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 Several blood-red chains of demonic aura broke through the heaven-splitting sword souls and pierced towards Yi Guchen. Yi Guchen used his 2 swords to block the attack, but a strong rebounding force was transmitted to Yi Guchen's arms along the edge of the swords, causing his arms to become numb. Swoosh! At this moment, a demonic aura chain pierced towards Yi Guchen's chest at an extremely fast speed. Even though Yi Guchen had activated the Eye of Azura, it was difficult for him to dodge. At this critical moment, the vital ring on Yi Guchen's finger flashed again. In an instant, Yi Guchen's body was covered with a layer of dazzling crystal armor. The entire surface of the crystal armor was flowing with the power of ice and fire, alternating between crimson and dark blue. It looked extremely strange. This was the low-grade defensive spiritual weapon that the old drunkard had refined for Yi Guchen, the Ice and Fire Dragon Crystal Armor. It was made from the crystal armor of the rank 4 demonic beast, the Ice and Fire Dragon Lizard. Even though its defensive power was not as good as the rank 5 Blood Demon's blood armor, it was not much weaker. In addition, the old drunkard had carved the strengthening and self-healing spiritual tattoos on it, so its defensive power had increased by a large margin. Clang! The attacking demonic aura chain collided with the crystal armor on Yi Guchen's chest. Yi Guchen felt as if he had been hit by a heavy hammer as he slammed into the rock wall behind him. He coughed out another mouthful of blood. However, compared to being pierced by the demonic chi chains, this was much better. Yi Guchen was also very satisfied with the defensive power of the Ice and Fire Dragon Crystal Armor. He infused his genuine chi into the strengthening spirit tattoo, and the entire surface of the Ice and Fire Dragon Crystal Armor faintly glowed. It seemed to have become a little stronger. Kill! With the protection of the Ice and Fire Dragon Crystal Armor, Yi Guchen no longer had anything to worry about. His sword moves were fierce and domineering. Even when the crimson tentacles and demonic energy chains hit Yi Guchen, they could only injure him, but not cause any fatal damage. With the continuous attacks of the 1,000 heaven-ripping sword souls, the blood demon was forced to retreat. Almost all of its blood-red tentacles were cut off. Even if it could regrow, it was not something that could be done in a short time. Just as Yi Guchen was fighting fiercely with the blood demon with all his might, outside the scarlet lair, Su Jinshi's beautiful eyes were looking at the lair worriedly. However, from the vibrations coming from inside, Su Jinshi knew that Yi Guchen wasn't immediately defeated. He was still able to contend with the blood demon. That silly kid really hit his strength well, Su Jinshi muttered. Luo Cheng, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, had a dark glint in his eyes. In the next moment, Luo Cheng suddenly stood up and wanted to escape. Where do you think you're going? Do you think I'm a pushover? Su Jinshi's reaction was quick. She reached out to grab Luo Cheng. However, Luo Cheng sneered. A cloud of black smoke suddenly spread out from his sleeve, emitting a pungent smell. It's poisonous. Su Jinshi hurriedly retreated. Luo Cheng used the blood illusion steps. His figure drew out a crimson afterimage. He was extremely fast as he flashed into the depths of the forest. Damn it! How dare you trick me? Su Jinshi was extremely vexed. Just as she wanted to chase after Luo Cheng, she thought of Yi Guchen in the Scarlet Lair. After comparing the two, Su Jinshi was still worried about Yi Guchen. She turned and flew into the Blood Demon's lair. At this moment, the battle in the Blood Demon's lair was coming to an end. Although the rank 5 Blood Demon was powerful, its strength was greatly reduced after laying eggs. At most, it was only slightly stronger than a rank 4 demonic beast. Yi Guchen attacked with all his strength. He didn't hold back at all. With the protection of the Ice and Fire Dragon Crystal Armor, he erupted with his greatest strength. With this, the battle naturally leaned in Yi Guchen's favor. God-slaying sword art Soul Demon. A dazzling crimson sword ray with a destructive force that could tear through everything slammed into the blood demon's chest. With a loud explosion, a dark red demonic core flew out. Yi Guchen grabbed the rank 5 demonic core and threw a ball of heavenly sun mystic underworld fire at the blood demon's body. Boom! The blood demon's body was instantly engulfed by the heavenly sun mystic underworld fire. After Yi Guchen obtained the demon pill of the 5th ranked demonic beast, he seemed to have heard something. He directly stored the Tribulation Dust Sword and the Ice and Fire Dragon Crystal Armor into his origin ring. He also stored the 1,000 heaven-ripping sword souls into his body. In just a moment, Su Jinshi's delicate figure flashed in. After seeing the mess in the lair, Su Jinshi's eyes widened. She looked at the blood demon's body that had turned into a pool of black pus in disbelief. You killed a rank 5 blood demon? Su Jinshi was in disbelief. She stared at Yi Guchen with wide eyes, looking rather adorable. After laying eggs, this blood demon's strength was greatly reduced. It's not much stronger than a rank 4 demonic beast. I barely managed to kill it. Yi Guchen wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. He was also heavily injured. Fortunately, he had the perfect body and could recover in a few days. Amazing. I'm getting more and more curious about you. Su Jianshi sized up Yi Guchen. Oh right, what about Luo Cheng? Yi Guchen suddenly asked. Su Jianshi's face fell as she explained the cause and effect. Forget it, it's fine. Yi Guchen didn't mind. He directly threw the 2 blood demons' demonic cores to Su Jianshi. Silly boy you. Su Jianshi didn't understand. I have enough demonic cores. I'll give these 2 to you. After all, you want to establish the righteous alliance. This is a good opportunity for you to make a name for yourself. Yi Guchen smiled faintly. He couldn't possibly say that he didn't want to be too eye-catching. So he gave the rank 5 demonic cores to her. Yes, that's right. You're indeed worthy of being my vice alliance leader. Su Jianshi naively accepted the 2 blood demons' demonic cores. Okay, next is the myriad beasts' blood pool. Su Jianshi's eyes lit up. Yi Guchen was also interested. He removed the blood demons' demonic eggs from the pool and burned them to ashes. We'll split the myriad beasts' blood pool, Su Jianshi said, and took out a gourd-shaped spirit tool with spirit runes flashing on its surface. A powerful suction force erupted from the bottle and absorbed a small portion of the myriad beasts' blood pool's essence blood. Yi Guchen looked at Su Jianshi in confusion. There was still more than half of the essence blood left in the pool. Su Jianshi curled her lips and said, You killed the blood demons and gave me their demonic cores. Plus, you're so heavily injured. The essence blood in the pool is just enough for you to recover and cultivate. I'll take a small portion. When Yi Guchen heard this, he nodded his head without any hesitation. Yi Guchen said, I've collected most of my demonic cores. I'll be cultivating in the myriad beasts' blood pool for a few days. I'll have to trouble you to protect me. Aside from recovering, the most important thing was to cultivate the marrow-cleansing scripture. The indestructible diamond body was something Yi Guchen had always been pursuing. It's fine. With me around, no one will be able to disturb your cultivation. Su Jianshi patted her chest confidently. Yi Guchen nodded and sat cross-legged in the myriad beasts' blood pool. At this moment, a few hundred miles away from the blood demon's lair, Luo Cheng, who had escaped, was holding his severed arm. His eyes were filled with intense hatred. Duga Wubai, Su Jianshi, just you wait. I might not be able to deal with you, but there are plenty of people who can. Let me think if I spread the news of the rank 5 demonic cores and the myriad beasts' blood pool. Who will come? Luo Cheng's eyes burned with the flames of revenge. Chapter 143. In the blood demon lair, Yi Guchen sat cross-legged in the myriad beasts' blood pool. Although Su Jianshi had absorbed a portion of the blood essence, there was still more than half of it left. As time passed, Yi Guchen's injuries were mostly healed. He began to cultivate the marrow-cleansing scripture. In his previous life, only one of the top 10 experts, Bodhidharma, had reached the invincible Vajra body. Therefore, it wasn't easy to cultivate it. The heavenly sun Xianming fire appeared on Yi Guchen's body. The surface of the myriad beast's blood pool sizzled and emitted white smoke. The impurities were all evaporated by the strange fire, leaving only the purest blood essence energy. Yi Guchen activated a trace of devouring power in his body. In an instant, the myriad beast's blood pool formed a blood-colored vortex with Yi Guchen as the center. Yi Guchen's aura and physical body were also growing slowly in the process of cultivation. Of course, this wasn't something that could be finished in a short time. Su Jianshi was guarding the blood demon lair. She was very bored. At this moment, a piece of news was quietly spreading in the Black Sky Mountain range. Hey, have you heard? There's news that Su Jianshi and Duga Wubai found a blood demon lair and obtained 2 beast cores. One of them was a rank 5 beast core. A rank 5 beast core? How is that possible? Even the number 1 prodigy can't kill it, right? Who knows? But I heard that they ambushed the blood demon while it was laying eggs. How lucky. I heard that in addition to the rank 5 beast core, there's also a myriad beast's blood pool. That's a treasure trove. Some martial artists were talking. But most of them didn't pay much attention to it. They knew that it was difficult for them to compete with Su Jianshi and the others with their strength. However, while ordinary martial artists might think this way, there were some who did not. Roar. In the forest, a beast's miserable howl could be heard. A flaming blade shadow chopped off the head of a rank 3 demonic beast, causing blood to spurt out. A burly man in obsidian armor, with a flaming saber in his hand, took out a monster pill from the demonic beast's body. This man was the little tyrant of the Qin clan Qin Batian. Su Jianshi Dugawubai Humph. How can I let the two of you monopolize the Class 5 Yao Core and Myriad Beast blood pool? It's time to take back the humiliation from that day. Naturally, Qin Batian had also heard of this news. A cold glint shot out from his tiger-like eyes, and the corners of his mouth curled into a vicious smile. With a leap, he directly shot towards a certain direction. In another area, a white-robed, black-haired young man waved his shimmering treasure fan, and a rank 3 demonic beast fell to the ground. If I obtain the Class 5 Yao Core, I will definitely have a chance to compete for first place in the second stage. The Myriad Beast blood pool will also be beneficial to me. Last time, Duga Wubai made me lose face in front of Princess Yuanyang. This time, I will make him pay the price. This young man was naturally the #1 prodigy of Yuanyang Mansion, Mo Lin. At the same time, a fierce battle was erupting in another area of the mountain range. For cultivators at the 7th Revolution Qi Refinement Realm were fighting each other. Swords and sabers crisscrossed as their palms rumbled. Outside the battle, a woman in a tight red dress with a slender figure like a water snake was watching the battle with a charming smile. She had a fox-like face and a pair of seductive eyes that faintly flickered with a red light. If one were to look closely at the cultivators fighting each other, they would notice that two of them had eyes that were faintly glowing red. Not long after the battle ended, the 4 cultivators were heavily injured and fell to the ground. They had almost perished together. The seductive woman in the red dress stepped forward with a smile and easily collected the origin rings of the 4 cultivators that contained their Yao cores. Sigh, what a waste of effort. But I'm a little bored. I heard that Su Jianshi and Duga Wubai found a blood demon lair. Not only did they obtain a Class 5 Yao core, but they also obtained a Myriad Beast blood pool. Hee, how can I not take advantage of such an opportunity? The seductive woman laughed endlessly. She twisted her waist and turned into a red shadow as she swept away. Anyone who was slightly familiar with this seductive woman would know that she was the #1 prodigy of the state capital of Qing, Jihongmei. As the news spread, the entire Black Sky mountain range seemed to have a vague feeling that a storm was brewing. The one who spread the news was Luo Cheng, who had narrowly escaped death. Heh, you stole my opportunity and severed my bloodhand demon arm Duga Wubai. Su Jianshi, I Luo Cheng, won't let you have peace. I'll let you fight. In the end, I'll be the one who benefits. Haha. In a hidden canopy, Luo Cheng, who only had one arm left, looked in the direction of the blood demon lair from afar. He let out a carefree smile as if he was taking revenge. At this moment, outside the blood demon lair, Su Jianshi was bored to death. After obtaining 2 blood demon cores, Su Jianshi had no intention of killing any more Yao beasts. How many more days is this silly kid going to cultivate in seclusion? Su Jianshi was a little frustrated. She grabbed a wild flower by the lair and plucked its petals out of boredom. Although the wait was a little long, Su Jianshi didn't disturb Yi Guchen. Instead, she guarded outside the lair. At this moment, Su Jianshi seemed to have sensed something. She threw away the petals and stood up. Her beautiful eyes stared into the distance. A figure slowly walked out from the dense vines in the distance. When the figure walked closer, Su Jianshi's expression changed slightly. It's you, evil tyrant. That figure was none other than Qin Batian. Qin Batian's eyes lit up when he saw Su Jianshi again. Although Duga Wubai and Su Jianshi had grudges with him, Qin Batian still coveted Su Jianshi more than he hated her. Haha, little girl, we meet again. Qin Batian laughed. Evil tyrant, how did you know about this place? Could it be? Su Jianshi had just opened her mouth when she realized something. She gritted her teeth and stomped her feet. Luo Cheng, that bastard. Su Jianshi was smart. How could she not understand the cause and effect? If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have held back. Su Jianshi was a little regretful. After all, she was still a pure and kind girl. It was difficult for her to casually kill someone. Yi Guchen didn't care about killing Luocheng, so Su Jianshi didn't make a move. She didn't expect to attract so much trouble. Haha, it's really here. However, before Su Jianshi could come up with a plan, another sinister voice sounded. It's you. Su Jianshi's expression changed again when she saw who it was. It was Emo Lin, who she had a grudge with not long ago. Haha, I didn't expect this place to be so lively. Am I late? A bone-numbing voice suddenly sounded. Immediately, a red figure, accompanied by a wave of fragrant wind, landed in this place. Su Jianshi's expression turned even uglier. She bit her lips and clenched her fists. Chapter 144. The red figure landed on the ground. It was a seductive beauty. It's you, the #1 prodigy of the state of Qing, Demoness Ji Hongmei. Emo Lin's expression changed. Emo Lin and Qin Baishan's hearts skipped a beat when they saw Ji Hongmei. Ji Hongmei was the true #1 prodigy, and had reached the 9th refinement stage. Rumor had it that Ji Hongmei was called the Demoness because she was proficient in illusions. She could unknowingly make people fall for her tricks. Although Emo Lin was also the #1 prodigy of the Yuanyang prefecture, he was weaker than the other prodigies. As for Qin Batian, he was about the same as Emo Lin. Although they were wary of Ji Hongmei, they weren't afraid of her. This place is so lively. Are the two of you here to seek opportunities? Ji Hongmei's voice was so soft that it could make one's heart itch. Emo Lin and Qin Batian felt their bones going soft. However, they were still prodigies after all, and immediately regained their senses. Isn't it too early to talk about fortune? Don't you see someone blocking the way? Perhaps Duga Wubai has already begun refining the myriad beast blood pool in his lair. Molin said in a gloomy tone. Ji Hongmei looked at Su Jianshi with her enchanting eyes. Obviously, they had to get past Su Jianshi if they wanted to obtain an opportunity. Little sister Su Jianshi, I've long heard of your name. You're a dark horse that's comparable to the #1 prodigy. You're indeed extraordinary. Ji Hongmei smiled seductively. What do you want? If you leave now, I can pretend that I didn't see you. Su Jianshi gritted her teeth and looked at the three of them. Su Jianshi, you're too naive. Emo Lin smiled coldly. Little girl, we can leave, but before we leave, we have to enter the blood demon lair to take a look. Qin Batian smiled. Obviously, Qin Batian, Emo Lin, and Ji Hongmei had a tacit understanding. They would first obtain an opportunity before deciding who would belong to whom. Su Jianshi's expression changed slightly when she heard that. Yi Guchen was still cultivating in the blood demon lair, and couldn't be disturbed. Su Jianshi naturally wouldn't let them enter. If you want to enter, you'll have to get past me first. Su Jianshi clenched her teeth, and a sword flashed in her hand. The green cicada sword appeared in her hand, and she pointed it at Qin Baishan's group. See, as expected, that Duga Wubai is definitely cultivating in the myriad beast blood pool, and the rank 5 blood demons, Yao Kor, might be in his possession as well. A cold light shot out from Molin's eyes. Hee, my good little sister, obediently step aside and you'll suffer less. Otherwise, if you fall into the hands of these two men, tsk, that wouldn't be pleasant. Ji Hongmei seemed to be implying something as she smiled ambiguously. When Emo Lin and Qin Batian heard this, their eyes lit up. This was especially true for Molin. He had been blinded by his hatred. Now that he looked at Su Jianshi, he found her youthful beauty to be very alluring. Feeling Qin Batian and Emo Lin's gazes crawling on her like caterpillars, Su Jianshi got goosebumps. Shameless person. Su Jianshi's mind was as pure as a piece of paper. How could she endure such humiliation? She drew her sword and stabbed at the three of them. My good little sister, you have courage. I admire you. Ji Hongmei smiled when she saw Su Jianshi charging over. Red light circulated in her eyes, as if she was about to cast an illusion. Su Jianshi's sword froze. But before Ji Hongmei could rejoice, Su Jianshi regained her senses. How is this possible? You're immune to my illusion? Ji Hongmei was slightly shocked. But how could she know that Su Jianshi was someone with the enlightened sword heart? Her mind was as clear as a mirror, and it was difficult for her to be affected by illusions. This was one of the benefits of the enlightened sword heart. However, after a brief moment of surprise, Ji Hongmei did not hesitate. Instead, she waved her jade-like hand, and a scarlet whip appeared. Putting illusions aside, Ji Hongmei was still the #1 genius of a prefecture. She had many tricks up her sleeves. Clang! Su Jianshi's azure cicada sword clashed with Ji Hongmei's whip, causing sparks to fly. Let's go! On the other side, Mo Lin and Qin Baishan's eyes flickered. They were about to enter the blood demon nest. Don't even think about it. Su Jianshi saw this from the corner of her eyes. She immediately pulled back her sword and retreated. She stepped on the ground and moved like a graceful swan. She flashed and stood in front of Mo Lin and Qin Batian. Little girl, are you really going to stop all three of us? Qin Baishan's gaze sank. I've said it before. With me here, none of you will be able to disturb the Duga Wubai. Su Jianshi's gaze was firm. True energy surged from her sword. It was as if she was the only one who could stop all of them. All right, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Qin Batian took out his blazing war saber. Flames rose from the blade, and a blazing saber aura spread out. Mo Lin activated the mysterious nether treasure fan in his hand, and a chilling aura spread out. Ji Hongmei also stepped forward with the aura of the 9th cycle of Qi refinement. The three geniuses attacked at the same time. In the darkness of the forest, Luo Cheng coldly looked at the scene in the distance. He was the one who had caused all of this. Let's fight. The more miserable the fight, the better. I will be the one to obtain the fortuitous opportunity in the end. Luo Cheng laughed heartily, as if he was venting all the resentment in his heart. At this moment, a sky surveyor's spiritual eye had arrived and captured the scene of Su Jianshi and the others. The scene in the periphery of the mountain range had attracted everyone's attention. That's Su Jianshi. She's being surrounded by three geniuses. Ji Hongmei, Qin Batian, and Mo Lin are all geniuses. Are they going to attack Su Jianshi at the same time? That's too despicable. Who knows? Maybe Su Jianshi has obtained something that will make them jealous. What a pity. Su Jianshi is a true dark horse. She's comparable to the #1 genius. Will she fall in the second stage? The 7 major forces and numerous martial artists were closely watching the battle on the void light screen. Boom! 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 Outside the blood demon lair, the battle had already begun. Su Jianshi alone blocked the attacks of 3 geniuses. Boom! After another attack, Su Jianshi's figure retreated, her face pale. Although her cultivation wasn't bad, it was still very difficult for her to face 3 geniuses at the same time. Little sister, back off. I pity you. Although Ji Hongmei said that, her attacks were even more vicious. A long whip lashed at Su Jianshi like a venomous snake. Su Jianshi blocked with her sword again, but Mo Lin's Xianming fan pierced through the air. She leaned to the side to block, but Qin Baishan's flaming saber slashed at her from the other side. Su Jianshi gritted her teeth and barely dodged. A wisp of flaming saber energy tore the cloth on Su Jianshi's arm, leaving a charred scar on her jade-like arm. Su Jianshi's face turned pale. Chapter 145. Puchi. The 3 prodigies attacked at the same time. Su Jianshi's body was pushed back, and blood seeped out of her mouth. However, she had no intention of moving aside. Stubborn. Mo Lin's eyes were as cold as ice. He struck out with his palm once again. A chilly wind howled and frosty frost swept through the air. It was a spiritual martial art, 9 deadly chilling wind palm. At the same time, Qin Batian and Ji Hongmei attacked. Qin Batian infused his true qi into his flaming saber, and the saber flowed with dazzling flames. Flaming saber slash. Ji Hongmei's whip tore through the air with an ear-piercing screech. A crafty and vicious whip shadow flew towards Su Jianshi. Phoenix Spirit Sword Art, 1000 Feather Sky Phoenix. Su Jianshi gritted her teeth and held the green cicada sword. Countless strands of sword qi gushed out from the sword, forming an azure phoenix in the air. It attacked the 3 prodigies. Bang! An explosion shook the heavens and earth. The surrounding ground was torn apart, and a 3-meter-deep fissure appeared. As the dust settled, Su Jinsher's body flew out like a kite with a broken string. She slammed into the mountain wall next to the nest. Poochie! Su Jinsher spat out another mouthful of blood, and her face turned even paler. On the other side, the three heavens favorites stepped back as well. They were somewhat affected. This girl is quite capable. Qin Baishan's eyes dimmed. Even with the three prodigies working together, they couldn't stop Su Jinsher in a short time. If we delay, things will change. If we let Dugu Wubai refine the myriad beast blood pool, we won't even get the leftovers, Emo Lin said coldly. Haha, that's right. Let's finish this quickly. Otherwise, all our efforts will be in vain. Ji Hongmei smiled, but there was coldness in her eyes. Her true personality wasn't as charming as she appeared on the surface. One had to know that Ji Hongmei was known as a demoness, which was enough to show her character. Cough. I already said that as long as I'm here, don't even think about entering. Su Jinsher's voice was weak, but she still forced herself to be spirited. She tightened her grip on her sword. Go! The three prodigies didn't waste any words. They just wanted to deal with Su Jinsher and enter the nest to seize the fortune. Boom! 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 Continuous explosions resounded as Su Jinsher's sword shadows clashed with the three's techniques. Sword energies, palm winds, whip shadows and saber energies crisscrossed and exploded without end. Under the surveillance of the sky surveying spiritual eyes, all of this was clearly displayed to the outside world. Although they despised the actions of Qin Batian and the other two, no one could deny that the rules of this stage were as such. What a pity, a dark horse. On the sword sex side, Elder Qing he shook his head regretfully. He'd naturally noticed that Su Jinsher possessed the enlightened sword heart. Such a rare natural talent could only be chanced upon by luck. The sword sex Talon naturally wanted to take him under his wing. It's indeed a pity, said Chu Qingqi. However, he then thought of Dugu Wubai. I hope his luck is a little better. Chu Qingqi sighed. While the crowd outside the mountain range was feeling indignant for Su Jinsher, the battle outside the Crimson Nest had reached its most intense level. At this moment, Su Jinsher was covered in blood with wounds all over her body. One could even see the ghastly wounds on her fair thighs through her torn skirt. Good sister, you're already at the end of your rope. Do you still want to resist? Ji Hongmei smiled and looked at Su Jinsher with a mocking gaze. It was as if she was looking at a beast in a desperate situation. Qin Batian still coveted Su Jinsher, so he said, Girl, no matter how stubborn you are, you'll still lose your life. I don't want to kill someone as beautiful as you. Shameless person. Come at me if you want to kill me. I'm not afraid. Su Jinsher shouted and gathered all her true qi. A terrifying wave of sword energy was emitted from the green cicada sword. Be careful. Don't give her any chance. Emo Lin suddenly felt a sense of danger when he saw this, and he immediately shouted out. The three prodigies attacked again. Frost Palm, Scorching Sun Saber Art, Flame Dragon Strike, Nine Snake Demonic Whip. The three prodigies attacked, wanting to kill Su Jinsher in one fell swoop. At this moment, Su Jinsher's sword heart was enlightened. She held the green cicada sword with both hands, and sword energy seemed to be gushing out from her eyes. Phoenix Spirit Sword Art, Myriad Feather Divine Wind. Along with Su Jinsher's shout, countless rays of sword light shot out like a myriad of sword feathers, and swept through the world. This is. When Su Jinsher used this sword technique, the elders of the 7 major factions were shocked. The ultimate move of a spirit sword art. Su Jinsher has actually cultivated a spirit sword art to greater mastery. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone was shocked. Cultivating a spirit sword art to lesser mastery was the standard for a prodigy of the sword. It was even more difficult to cultivate it to greater mastery. Even prodigies would find it difficult to cultivate it to greater mastery. But Su Jinsher had succeeded. Thousands of sword feathers tore through the sky and earth, destroying the surrounding space. Boom! The two ultimate moves collided, shaking the heavens and earth. Even the sturdy blood demon nest trembled. The ground outside the nest had been torn apart, and was in a complete mess. The surrounding trees had collapsed as if they had been trampled by a giant beast. Poochie! Su Jinsher's body was impacted. Her chest felt as if it had been hit by a hammer. Ji Hongmei's whip pierced through her thigh, leaving behind a bloody hole. Her body slammed heavily into the ground. Of course, Qin Batian and the others didn't have it easy either. The ultimate move of a spirit sword art was extraordinary. Emo Lin's shoulder was pierced through by the sword feathers. Blood flowed out non-stop. Qin Batian had the obsidian armor to protect him, so he was fine. He was only hit by the sword aura and spat out blood. As for Ji Hongmei, she was slashed by the sword feathers. What made her even crazier was that her face was also covered with 3 or 4 sword scars. "Ah, my face! Su Jianshi, I'm going to kill you." Ji Hongmei's expression changed. She was no longer smiling. Her face twisted as if someone had touched her reverse scale. Ji Hongmei dashed forward and waved her whip. Every move was fatal. Su Jianshi clenched her teeth and gathered the last bit of true qi in her body to block the attack. Pa! The whip knocked the green cicada sword aside and landed on Su Jianshi's body, leaving behind a ghastly wound. Die! 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 Ji Hongmei went completely crazy. As a demoness, her charm was unparalleled, and she valued her appearance the most. Yet at this moment, there was a bloody scar on her face. This was absolutely unacceptable to her. The whip flashed and Su Jianshi couldn't block it. She was heavily injured. She spat out blood and her face was pale. Her green dress was torn in many places. Whip scars crisscrossed against her fair skin. It was a frightening sight. It was like a blue bird covered in cuts and bruises and stained with blood. Meanwhile, in the blood demon lair, Yi Guchen's cultivation had also reached the final stage. Chapter 146. Inside the blood demon nest, inside the Thousand Beast Blood Pool. The Thousand Beast Blood Pool, which originally had more than half of it left, was now almost empty. Yi Guchen was sitting in the middle with his legs crossed. His aura seemed to be getting stronger and stronger. The Thousand Beast Blood Pool was filled with life essence. After being refined by the heavenly sun Xianming fire, it could be converted into the purest true qi. At a certain moment, Yi Guchen suddenly opened his eyes. There was a cold glint in his eyes. Qi refinement 8th revolution break. Boom! A powerful true qi spread out from Yi Guchen's body. At this moment, Yi Guchen's cultivation had also risen to the Qi refinement 8th revolution, with the help of the Thousand Beast Blood Pool's essence blood. But this wasn't enough. Yi Guchen's origin ring flashed as he took out a fiery red fruit covered in dragon scale-like patterns. It was the burning dragon fruit he had obtained from the auction in Donglin Prefecture's Cloud Sky City. Without any hesitation, Yi Guchen swallowed the burning dragon fruit. A powerful and scorching energy erupted from his body. Together with the scorching power of refinement, it began to refine Yi Guchen's organs. With the help of the Thousand Beast Blood Pool and the burning dragon fruit, Yi Guchen's cultivation of the marrow cleansing scripture sped up. With Yi Guchen's sharp spiritual sense, he naturally knew that something had happened outside the nest. But he couldn't stop now. Otherwise, all his efforts would be in vain. This time, he had to completely cultivate the marrow cleansing scripture. Outside the nest, Su Jianshi's mouth was stained with blood. Her body was covered in whip marks. But Ji Hongmei didn't immediately kill her. Instead, she had a perverted expression on her face, as she toyed with Su Jianshi like a cat toying with a mouse. Su Jianshi's body was covered in bloody whip marks. It was a shocking sight. Even Emo Lin and Qin Batian, who were watching from the side, felt their hair stand on end. They sighed inwardly. Ji Hongmei truly lived up to her reputation as a demoness. "My good sister, you've angered me. So I'll make you wish you were dead." Ji Hongmei touched the wound on her face with one hand and smiled like a vicious snake beauty. Her tone was sharp and vicious. The people watching through the heaven-surveying spiritual eyes felt pity for him. But at the same time, they were also puzzled. Su Jianshi knew that it was hard for her to win against the three of them. So why was she still persisting? Could it be that Su Jianshi is guarding the blood demon lair? Some people suddenly guessed. After this reminder, everyone was enlightened. Su Jianshi didn't want to leave, because she wanted to guard the cave. Someone should be cultivating in seclusion in the lair. The only person who was close to Su Jianshi was Dugu Wu Bai. TSK, to have such a beautiful woman, I really envy that Duga Wubai. Many martial artists sighed. Duga Wubai could be considered extremely lucky to have such a stunning beauty protect him with her life. At this moment, inside the blood demon lair, Yi Guchen's skin was covered in a layer of golden radiance. If one were to look into Yi Guchen's body, they would find that his internal organs were like golden crystals. They were transparent and had a jade-like texture. The body metamorphosis scripture cultivated the muscles, bones, and skin, while the marrow cleansing scripture cultivated the internal organs. Obviously, this was a sign that the marrow cleansing scripture was about to be completed. Crack! At a certain moment, the sound of porcelain shattering came from Yi Guchen's body. Then, Yi Guchen's internal organs suddenly emitted a resplendent brilliance. It was as if they weren't organs of flesh and blood, but precious stones and jade. Yi Guchen stood up, and a powerful fluctuation swept out in all directions. His body also emitted a resplendent brilliance. The marrow cleansing scripture had been cultivated to greater success. Within Yi Guchen's body, there was a cracking sound that sounded like a dragon twisting. It was the sound of bones that were forged to be as hard as diamonds and gems. At the same time, Yi Guchen raised his hand and clenched his fist slightly. A terrifying force spread through the flesh and blood of his arm. He suddenly punched out and bombarded the hard rock wall beside him. Boom! It was as if he had punched into tofu. Yi Guchen's entire arm sank into the rock wall. Yi Guchen didn't feel anything at all. Is this the marrow cleansing scripture after reaching greater success? Yi Guchen felt that his blood and qi were like dragons in his body. His blood and qi had never been so vigorous. With a perfect body, the body metamorphosis scripture, and the marrow cleansing scripture, Yi Guchen's current body was terrifyingly strong. Unfortunately, although the marrow cleansing scripture has been cultivated to greater success, it will still take some time to merge it with the body metamorphosis scripture and cultivate the legendary indestructible Vajra body. Yi Guchen sighed softly. The two body refinement techniques had been cultivated to greater success. Next, he just needed to merge them and some opportunities to cultivate the legendary indestructible Vajra body that only first ancestor Bodhidharma had achieved. Although I haven't cultivated the indestructible Vajra body yet, the marrow cleansing scripture has been cultivated to greater success. It will only take some time and opportunities to reach that step. Moreover, my cultivation realm has increased by a small level. Yi Guchen muttered to himself. He was already very satisfied with this cultivation. As for the indestructible Vajra body, Yi Guchen had a feeling that he wouldn't need too long to reach that realm. Now let's go out. Yi Guchen looked at the cave entrance in the distance and frowned. A faint sense of unease rose in his heart. His figure flickered as he dashed out. At this moment, outside the bloody cave, Su Jianshi was in an extremely sorry state. Her body was covered in blood and whip marks. Her aura was extremely weak. Even though she was a proud daughter of the heavens, she couldn't withstand the continuous attacks of the three great prodigies. Ji Hongmei, don't delay any longer. Finish her off. Emolin frowned. He was also a little disgusted by Ji Hongmei's bad taste. On the other side, Qin Batian looked regretfully at Su Jianshi, who was covered in blood. Such a beautiful girl had been tortured to such a state by Ji Hongmei. He had no interest in coveting her. My good sister, you can die now. Ji Hongmei seemed to have gotten tired of playing. She sneered and swung a whip with powerful true qi at Su Jianshi's head. Su Jianshi gathered the last of her true qi and blocked with her sword. Bang! Su Jianshi spat out a mouthful of blood. Her jade-like arms felt like they were about to break. The green cicada sword was sent flying. Her delicate body flew backward. Just as she was about to hit a rock, she was suddenly caught by a figure and knocked into his embrace. Su Jianshi looked up with difficulty and saw that familiar and ordinary face. Silly boy, you're finally out, Su Jianshi said weakly. When Yi Guchen came out of the cave, he saw the bloodied Su Jianshi flying out. When he saw the shocking whip marks all over Su Jianshi's body, even the usually calm Yi Guchen was shaken. His hands trembled. He was the soul of the sword demon. It was rare for his emotions to fluctuate. However, when he saw Su Jianshi covered in blood, Yi Guchen couldn't calm down. Why didn't you leave? Yi Guchen asked with difficulty. Silly boy. I'm the leader of the Righteous Alliance, heroine Su Jianshi. Of course. I have to protect you. Su Jianshi smiled. Her bloodstained smile was so dazzling in Yi Guchen's eyes. It was all to protect him. Yi Guchen felt the flames of Azura burning in his heart. Yi Guchen took a deep breath and said indifferently, "Then leave the rest to me." However, the calmer he was, the more it represented Yi Guchen's killing intent. It was like a surging undercurrent. Okay. Su Jianshi responded weakly. She couldn't hold on any longer and fainted. Yi Guchen gently placed Su Jianshi on the ground. Then he looked at Ji Hongmei and the other two. When he saw the bloodied whip in Ji Hongmei's hand, Yi Guchen could no longer suppress his anger. Clang! The meteorite sword was unsheathed. Sword energy filled the sky. Yi Guchen's murderous aura exploded and surged into the Nine Heavens Imperial Court. If the three of you can leave this place alive, I, Dugawubai, will kill myself. With that, the weather changed and heaven and earth trembled. Chapter 147. Yi Guchen's black hair fluttered in the wind as a layer of blood-red light seemed to emanate from his eyes. The terrifying aura of an 8th-rank Qi refinement cultivator was released. His body rumbled as if an angry dragon had awakened. His cold words were like the judgment of an Azura descending from hell. This, feeling Dugu Wubai's powerful aura, Ji Hongmei, and the other two's expressions changed, especially Emolin and Qin Batian. Clearly in their eyes, Yi Guchen's cultivation was much stronger than before. This kid must have refined the myriad beast blood pool's fortuitous encounter. Emolin's expression was unsightly. You want to keep all three of us alive? Don't talk big. Qin Baishan's expression was also unsightly, but he still said firmly. In his opinion, even if Yi Guchen's strength had increased, it would be difficult for him to fight all three of them at once. Yi Guchen did not say anything. His gaze first locked onto Ji Hongmei, looking at the blood-stained whip. It was clear that most of the whip wounds on Su Jianshi's body were caused by this seductive woman. I was wondering who it was. So it's Dugu Wubai. Su Jianshi injured my face. So what's wrong with giving her some punishment? Ji Hongmei touched her face with heartache as she looked at Yi Guchen. A red glow flickered in her enchanting eyes. Clearly, Ji Hongmei was using an illusion. Yi Guchen's body shook slightly. Just as Ji Hongmei revealed a smug expression, her eyes went blank. Because Yi Guchen's pair of ink-black eyes had been swallowed by the extremely dense blood-red color in an instant. Eye of Azura activate. Terrifying illusions appeared one after another in Ji Hongmei's mind. All sorts of cruel scenes appeared in Ji Hongmei's mind. Ji Hongmei suddenly covered her head with her hands and shrieked. Punishment, is it? I'll let you have a taste of punishment too. Yi Guchen's lips curled into a cold smile. His footsteps flashed, and he appeared in front of Ji Hongmei almost instantly. Whoosh! A wisp of blood-red sword light shot out. It was like an Azura had unsheathed his sword and intended to slash the heavens. Ji Hongmei bit the tip of her tongue. The sharp pain woke her up, and she saw the sword light approaching her. As soon as she raised her whip, a blood-red sword light flashed. On my hand! Ji Hongmei's face paled as she screamed. Her hand that was holding the whip had been cut off at the wrist by Yi Guchen's sword. Blood splattered, and the severed hand was sent flying. Yi Guchen's eyes were cold and sharp. He was like the Azura Grim Reaper, seeking vengeance with the methods of hell. Sword light swirled around his hand as he performed the golden snake sword art. Streaks of sword light streaked across Ji Hongmei's face. In just a single breath, Yi Guchen had slashed out more than 40 times. My face! On my face! Ji Hongmei retreated quickly, but she felt a lot of liquid flowing down her face. It was fresh blood. She used her remaining hand to touch her cheek, only to feel the crisscrossing scars. Ji Hongmei's charming face was covered in sword scars. Her entire face had been destroyed by Yi Guchen. Ah no, this servant's face, this servant's beauty! Ji Hongmei's face was distorted. Together with her disfigured face, she looked as terrifying as a ghost from hell. Yi Guchen held the falling star flexible sword in his hand. Drops of blood gathered on the blade and dripped down along the blade. Qin Batian and Emolin felt a chill in their hearts when they saw Ji Hongmei's face covered in blood. Yi Guchen's black robe was stained with blood. His face was expressionless, and his blood-red eyes were like an azure from hell as he stared at the three of them. Perhaps he wasn't bragging. Qin Batian suddenly thought. Qin Batian, hurry up and attack with all your might. Otherwise, we won't be able to escape today. Emo Lin suddenly shouted from the other side. After witnessing Yi Guchen's terrifying means, Emo Lin also felt a chill in his heart. He knew that if it wasn't Yi Guchen who would die today, it would be them. Kill. Qin Batian and Emo Lin no longer dared to hold back. They could vaguely sense that Yi Guchen was truly enraged at this moment. The three of them had crossed Yi Guchen's bottom line. Scorching Sun Saber Art, Blazing Dragon Strike. Qin Baishan's flaming true energy gushed out and spread towards the blazing battle saber. Blazing flames soared into the sky, as if a fire dragon was roaring in the sky. It was obvious that Qin Baishan's true strength was extraordinary, and he wasn't much weaker than those top geniuses. Boom! He slashed his saber at Yi Guchen, and a fire dragon swept across. Yi Guchen's blood-red eyes were indifferent. He didn't even dodge, as if he didn't see it. Qin Batian was delighted. However, before his smile could fully spread, it completely froze. Yi Guchen slowly stretched out his hand, and the heavenly sun shimming fire gushed out and wrapped around his palm. Like the hand of a fire god, he directly caught the incoming blazing battle saber. Bang! The blazing battle saber's ferocious attack came to an abrupt halt in Yi Guchen's hand. This, Qin Batian and Emo Lin were stunned. Even Ji Hongmei, who was in a frenzy, was slightly stunned. What did they just see? Catching a spiritual weapon with his bare hands? Although Qin Baishan's blazing battle saber was only a low-grade spiritual weapon, it wasn't something that could be stopped with one hand. How is this possible? How can your physical body be more terrifying than a demonic beast's? Qin Batian was really stunned, and he couldn't react in time. Yi Guchen's lips curled into a cold smile. He had a perfect physical body, and with the greater success of the tendon-changing scripture and marrow-cleansing scripture, he could still catch a low-grade spiritual weapon with his bare hands. Yi Guchen suddenly clenched his fist. Crack! A terrifying dragon-elephant force exploded, and cracks started to appear on the blazing battle saber. Impossible! Qin Batian roared. Nothing is impossible. Yi Guchen's eyes were cold, and he directly kicked Qin Baishan's chest. Bang! Qin Batian spat out a mouthful of blood. Even with the protection of the obsidian battle armor, he felt as if he was being crushed by an ancient elephant, and several of his ribs were broken. Yi Guchen threw the blazing battle saber at Qin Batian, and with a sharp whistle, the saber slammed into Qin Baishan's chest. Boom! Qin Baishan's body shook again, and even cracks started to appear on his obsidian battle armor. The blazing battle saber directly slammed Qin Baishan's body into the ground, causing cracks to appear on the ground. Dead silence. Ji Hongmei and Emo Lin looked at Yi Guchen in shock, as if they were looking at a monster. Although Qin Batian was still a distance away from Qin Aoshi, Shen Miao, and the rest, he was still a true genius. However, in the hands of Yi Guchen, he was in such a sorry state, lying in the pit like a dead dog. We must kill him. If he continues to hide, we will all die today. Emo Lin was truly frightened. He had always been conceited, and thought that he was comparable to the number one genius. However, after seeing the Azura like Yi Guchen, he finally understood how laughable he was. There was also Ji Hongmei. Although she had sunk into madness after her face was destroyed, after seeing the Azura like Yi Guchen, her heart felt as if it had fallen into an ice cave, and she felt a bone-chilling chill. Chapter 148. At this moment, there was a suffocating silence in the periphery of the mountain range. Yi Guchen's powerful attack, destroying Ji Hongmei's face, and severely injuring Qin Batian, were all projected to the periphery through the sky surveying spiritual eyes. Shock, astonishment, disbelief. All kinds of emotions appeared on the faces of the warriors from the 7 major forces. Is this really the Duge Wubai from the first stage? Some of the spectators were dumbfounded and could not believe it. Qin family's little overlord Qin Batian was severely injured in just a few moves. Yi Guchen even caught the spiritual inscription weapon with his bare hands. All of this made the warriors extremely shocked. Not only is this kid's swordsmanship extraordinary, but his physical body is also incomparably strong. If not for the fact that he doesn't have the aura of a demonic beast, I would really suspect that he is a demonic beast in human form. Elder Qing He of the Sword Sect Pagoda Forest was also shocked. Yi Guchen's swordsmanship had already exceeded his expectations, but he did not expect his physical body to be so abnormal as well. If we can recruit this kid, it doesn't matter even if Sword Sect's Yi Guchen doesn't come. This kid's talent and cultivation are definitely not inferior to Yi Guchen's. Elder Qing He sighed. At the same time, he was slightly dissatisfied with Yi Guchen who did not come. Compared to Yi Guchen who did not even come, Elder Qing He was obviously more inclined to recruit this youth called Duge Wubai. Hearing this, Chu Qingqi could only smile bitterly. He believed that if Yi Guchen really came, he would definitely be as stunning as Duge Wubai. On the other side, Lu Tianying of the Limitless Sword Sect had an extremely ugly expression. He was about to cry for his parents. You bastard, you almost missed out on such a good talent. No matter the price, we must recruit this person into our Limitless Sword Sect. Zhao Jingting's tone was extremely determined. Previously, he only intended to recruit Yi Guchen. After seeing the scene just now, Zhao Jingting made up his mind to recruit Yi Guchen. If I can really rope this kid in, I'm afraid he'll be another monstrous sword genius that won't be inferior to Xian Hao in the future. Zhao Jingting thought to himself. It's a pity that this Duge Wubai is a man. Otherwise, my Consonance Palace would want him to join as well. Who said so? Sister, we can make an exception. Although this Duge Wubai looks a little ordinary, his talent is truly extraordinary. Over in the direction of the Consonance Divine Palace, a charming young girl laughed, her eyes shining with a brilliant light. At this moment, because of a single Yi Guchen, the undercurrents of the 7 great powers were surging, and their minds were racing. Could it be that this Duge Wubai wants to? However, after seeing Yi Guchen's performance, the life and death chamber elder in charge of monitoring faintly furrowed his brows even though he was stunned. After which he said, Quick, send someone over. I'm afraid that Duge Wubai wants to kill these 3. What? As soon as these words came out, it caused another uproar. Among these 3 people, Emo Lin was from the Emo family in the Yuanyang Prefecture, Qin Batian was from the Qin family in the Donglin Prefecture, and Ji Hongmei was from the Spring Cloud Pavilion in the state capital of Qing. Although they couldn't be compared to the 7 great powers, they were still at the level of superfamilies. This Duge Wubai actually dared to kill these 3 people in front of everyone? Many people were shocked and couldn't believe it. If Yi Guchen really did so, his name would definitely spread throughout the Saint Origin dynasty. Of course, it would also provoke the terrifying revenge of the 3 great powers. But would Yi Guchen be afraid? In the mountain range, Yi Guchen's face was indifferent, like a killing god that disregarded all living beings. He glanced at the sky surveying spiritual eye in midair and knew in his heart, if he continued to delay and waited for reinforcements, it would be impossible for him to kill these 3 people. As for the consequences of killing these 3 people, Yi Guchen didn't care. The sword demon had never been afraid of anything in his life. If he had to kill, he would kill. With a sword in his hand, he didn't ask the heavens and earth, but only his own heart. God-slaying sword art, blood slaughter. Yi Guchen's golden true energy gushed out. The vigorous aura made Yi Guchen look like a golden god of war. The sword in his hand was like an azura, the color of blood condensed, and a boundless sword energy fluctuation spread out. With a slash of the sword blood slaughter, Bang! Mo Lin and Ji Hongmei attacked at the same time, using their ultimate moves. Heavenly Cold Mysterious Energy, Demon Buster Whip. Two equally powerful waves spread out, and the strong moves collided with Yi Guchen's sword move, causing an earth-shattering roar. However, the result of this attack was puff. Mo Lin and Ji Hongmei retreated at the same time, spitting out blood. On the other hand, Yi Guchen also retreated more than 10 steps. His arms were trembling, and his blood was churning. However, he didn't suffer any serious injuries. Is this Duga Wubai really a demonic beast? Mo Lin's hands trembled violently as a powerful rebounding force caused his arms to emit the sound of bones cracking. On the other side, Ji Hongmei wasn't in a good state either. Not only was she mentally unstable, but she was also injured. The three of them had already been injured by Su Jinshi's Spirit Sword Art's ultimate move. Now that they were facing Yi Guchen, who was in his peak condition, they paled in comparison. Chapter 149. Following Yi Guchen's roar, powerful true energy gushed out from Yi Guchen's right hand. Xiaoshang Sword, Shangyang Sword, Middle Charge Sword, Guanchong Sword, Young Charge Sword. True energy gushed out from his meridians, forming into a sword aura. The sharp sword aura seemed to be able to tear apart the heavens and earth. The powerful sword aura pierced through the air and shot towards Qin Batian and the rest. What kind of martial art is this? Qin Batian and the other two trembled. They had never heard of such a martial art before. The three of them were forced back by the six-pulse divine sword aura, vomiting blood. The six-pulse divine sword was shockingly powerful. In the next moment, Yi Guchen's lips curled into a cold smile. His feet moved again, stepping on the 64 hexagrams of the Book of Changes. His entire body turned into a series of afterimages, like ripples on water. The top movement technique of the pugilistic world, wave-like minute steps. Because he could not reveal his identity as a sword master, Yi Guchen directly displayed the two top movement techniques of the pugilistic world. Regardless of whether it was the six-pulse divine sword or wave-like minute steps, they both required powerful internal energy. In this world, they required true energy. Thus Yi Guchen took them out now. His cultivation had already reached the 8th cycle of qi refinement, allowing him to display these top-level martial arts. Damn it, this brat's martial arts are a little strange. Qin Batian roared, his flaming saber slashing through the air. Wild waves crushing dragon slash. Qin Batian seemed to have released all the true qi in his qi si, pouring it into the saber. The entire flaming saber seemed to be unable to withstand this amount of true energy. The already cracked saber let out cracking sounds. Boom! Qin Batian's saber slashed down. Like a wave of fire, the saber aura destroyed everything in its path. Yi Guchen held the meteor soft sword in his left hand. A thick blood aura gathered on the blade. The Azura power in his body was also pushed to the limit. God-slaying sword technique, devil only. The sword slashed out, like a blood aura splashing across the sky. Bang! Qin Batian once again vomited blood as he was sent flying. His body shuddered violently as cracks appeared on his obsidian battle armor. It was as if half of it had been destroyed. Yi Guchen was also knocked back, and a sweet taste rose in his throat. After all, it was Qin Batian's trump card, and Yi Guchen had suffered some injuries. Just half a breath after Yi Guchen and Qin Batian exchanged blows, a sinister and vigorous palm qi directly sneaked towards Yi Guchen's back. Yi Guchen turned around in an instant. Mo Lin had used all his strength to strike Yi Guchen's chest. However, Yi Guchen was only slightly injured due to the defense of the ice and fire dragon crystal armor. Why didn't you dodge? Mo Lin suddenly thought to himself. This time, Yi Guchen even used a trace of Azura sword intent. Even though it was only a trace, its power was still terrifying. A bloody storm surged out. God-slaying sword art, demon only. A wisp of blood-red light reflected the sky. After adding a trace of the Shura sword intent to it, the might of this sword strike was earth-shattering. Puchi, the bloody sword light that seemed capable of destroying everything directly pierced through Mo Lin's chest. Because of the terrifying destructive power of the god-slaying sword art, Mo Lin's entire chest exploded. Blood and flesh splattered everywhere as his internal organs exploded. Plop. Emolin's corpse fell to the ground. The number one prodigy of the Yuanyang prefecture had died. Following the tragic deaths of Ji Hongmei and Emolin, Qin Batian was completely dumbfounded. He looked at Yi Guchen with a gaze that was filled with emotions. Fear. This Qin Batian, who had always been lawless and overbearing, was completely terrified of Yi Guchen. You better not kill me, otherwise. Qin Baishan's body was trembling, and his voice was trembling. It was as if the person before him wasn't Yi Guchen, but an Azura from hell. Don't you think it's stupid to say such words now? When the three of you were trying to kill Su Jianshi, did you think that you would have such an experience? Yi Guchen's tone was ice cold. He slowly brushed the meteorite soft sword with one hand, and flung away the blood on it. No, don't. Qin Batian squeezed out almost all the true qi in his qi as he turned around and dashed out. A bloody light reflected in Yi Guchen's eyes. The meteorite soft sword in his hand slashed through the air. With another slash, the sword light swept across the sky. However, at this moment, a cold and arrogant roar sounded from afar. If you dare to attack, I, Qin Aoshi, will pull out your tendons and flay your bones. However, Qin Aoshi was like a bolt of lightning as he charged towards them. Big brother. Qin Baishan's face revealed the joy of escaping death. He had secretly crushed the jade strip to send a message to Qin Aoshi to come over. Now his savior had finally arrived. However, he saw Qin Aoshi's incomparably shocked and furious expression. Why is Big Brother showing such an expression? Qin Batian was puzzled. Then he slightly lowered his head and saw the tip of a blood-red sword piercing through his obsidian battle armor and through his heart. Qin Batian turned his head with difficulty and saw Yi Guchen's blood-red eyes. I regret. Feeling the life force in his body rapidly draining away, Qin Batian spat out a mouthful of blood. His eyes were filled with endless regret. If he could do it all over again, he would never have provoked Yi Guchen. Plop. Qin Baishan's body fell to the ground. Duga Wubai, I will kill you today. Qin Aoshi roared. His eyes were blood-red and ferocious. He was like a thunder god from hell. Chapter 150. How could Qin Aoshi not be enraged when he saw Qin Batian die in front of him? He did not care about what Qin Batian had done. He only knew that this ordinary-looking young man with bloodshot eyes had killed his younger brother. Die! Qin Aoshi donned the Thunder God's battle armor, and lightning surrounded his body. His aura was like a long spear. Murderous intent gathered in his eyes. He clasped his hands together, and curled his fingers. Then he slowly pulled open a dazzling lightning bolt. Amidst the divine lightning, a silver spear materialized. It was the Thunder Spear, an upper-grade spiritual weapon. Qin Aoshi donned the Thunder God's battle armor, and held the Thunder Spear in his hand. Dazzling lightning bolts surrounded his body like dragons. His aura was so strong that it was terrifying. Today, I can only use your life to let Batian die in peace. Qin Aoshi's voice was cold. His facial features were deep, and he was like the thunder god from hell. Who can take my life? You. Yi Guchen's face was cold. He was like an Azura from the sword. Although he had killed Qin Batian, and the other two, his aura was still strong. Although he had suffered some injuries, it was not a big problem in front of the powerful recovery of his perfect physical body. Kill. Qin Aoshi did not say anything. His thunder spear pierced through the air. The tip of the spear was filled with lightning bolts. Yi Guchen's meteorite soft sword also pierced through the air. The tip of the sword and the tip of the spear collided, resulting in a violent explosion. Bang! Both of them retreated. Yi Guchen glanced at Qin Aoshi, and was slightly shocked. Qin Aoshi was indeed different from Ji Hongmei and Emolin. Although they were both titled as the number one Sky Prides, Qin Aoshi was obviously stronger than them. Moreover, Yi Guchen could faintly feel that there was an even more terrifying and violent power hidden in Qin Aoshi's body. Although it had not been revealed yet, the faint pressure was like a dark cloud pressing down on him. Thunderous 9 transformations, violent thunder collapse. Qin Aoshi's true qi surged out of his body. When the true qi exploded, there was actually a faint sound of thunder and lightning sparks. It was extremely domineering. Heterogeneous Jinqi? Yi Guchen raised his eyebrows and drew out his soft meteorite sword. God-slaying sword technique massacre. A blood-colored sword beam collided with the tip of Qin Aoshi's spear, once again shooting out a circle of ripples in the void. The sword beam and the lightning beam intertwined endlessly. Boom, boom, boom. The two figures crisscrossed like dragons in the clouds and tigers in the wind. Yi Guchen's entire body was surging with golden Jinqi. The long sword in his hand was covered with a bloody light, making him look like a golden Azura war god. On the other hand, Qin Aoshi's thunder true qi burst forth. The thunder spear swept across the void, and the thunder radiance rumbled. It was as if an enraged thunder god had descended to the world, and was about to send down a heavenly tribulation. The surrounding forests were all destroyed, and the earth was torn apart. The shockwaves from the battle were so strong that it was terrifying, as if a giant beast was destroying the surrounding mountains. Two figures rushed over from the distant horizon. They were both experts in the divine soul realm. They had originally planned to come to the rescue, but when they saw the three miserable corpses, they knew that they were too late. Yi Guchen killing people was not against the rules, so they did not attack Yi Guchen. However, at this moment, even the two Divine Soul stage experts were stunned when they saw the world-shocking battle between Qin Aoshi and Yi Guchen, who had arrived in rage. Was this really a battle between warriors in the Qi-refining realm? The two experts in the Divine Soul realm looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. Boom! Once again, Yi Guchen and Qin Aoshi attacked with all their might. Yi Guchen raised his right hand, and an extremely powerful Zhen Qi gushed out along his meridians. It transformed into a sword beam that pierced towards Qin Aoshi. Qin Aoshi's gaze was as cold as ice. He actually allowed the six-pulse godly sword Qi to hit his Thunder God battlesuit. He, on the other hand, aimed his spear at Yi Guchen. Lightning kill 9 transformations, sharp thunder blast. The power of lightning gathered at the tip of the lightning spear, forming a sharp cone that shot towards Yi Guchen. Bang! 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 An earth-shattering explosion shook the sky. Qin Aoshi was pushed back more than 10 feet by the six-pulse godly sword Qi. Even with the protection of the Thunder God battlesuit, his blood surged, and a sweet taste rose in his throat. Yi Guchen was the same. Qin Aoshi's spear hit the Icefire Dragon crystal armor. Although Yi Guchen immediately activated the strengthening spirit rune, he was still hit by a huge force, and his body was pushed back. However, after a distance of more than 10 feet, the two of them looked at each other. One was a pair of eyes that were as cold and emotionless as an Azura. The other was a pair of eyes that were filled with lightning and anger. Bang! The two of them stomped on the ground again, and the ground cracked. Yi Guchen's body seemed to have turned into a bloody shadow, and Qin Aoshi turned into a lightning bolt, and they collided rapidly. Boom! It was as if two angry dragons had collided, and a powerful shockwave swept out in all directions. Whether it was Yi Guchen or Qin Aoshi, both of them gave up on defense, and only used their armors to protect themselves. They attacked with all their strength, and it was as if they were exchanging blows. Dugu Bai, after you pierced Beishan's chest with your sword, you were destined to die under my spear. Qin Aoshi's spear shot towards Yi Guchen. Why don't you ask what Qin Batian did? Only he is allowed to kill, and others are not allowed to kill him? Yi Guchen's eyes were as cold as the abyss, and the bloody sword light tore through the air, and shot towards Qin Aoshi. Yes, that's right. It's because his brother is me, Spear King Qin Aoshi. Qin Aoshi's eyes were filled with killing intent, and his tone was cold and arrogant. He gathered the lightning true energy in his body, and once again shot out his spear, filling the sky with spear shadows. Cloudy Sky Spear Art. Yi Guchen activated the Eye of Azura, and at the same time, he poured the power of Azura into the Meteor Soft sword. Blood-red energy spread across the sword, and an incomparably terrifying bloody aura burst out. God-slaying sword technique, demon only. Clang! The two collided, and true energy violently surged in all directions. It was as if two huge stars had collided, and then exploded. Yi Guchen and Qin Aoshi could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood, and both of them retreated at the same time. At this moment, the surrounding ground was in a mess. The earth was cracked, and tens of thousands of pitch-black cracks appeared, and the mountains had collapsed. Not to mention the two divine soul realm experts, who were watching the battle from afar. Even the spectators who were watching through the sky surveying spiritual eyes were stunned. The originally dense crowd was dead silent, and their eyes were fixed on the scene of Yi Guqin and Qin Aoshi's battle. They did not expect that a battle between two Qi refining realm cultivators could be so fierce. Heaven's pride. The true number one Heaven's pride. Qin Aoshi's strength was well known. But what no one expected was that the ordinary young man named Duga Wubai could actually fight with Qin Aoshi, without being at a disadvantage. Although they were both number one Heaven's pride, Qin Aoshi was not someone Ji Hongmei or Imo Lin could compare to. If this Duga Wubai can safely survive this storm, he will definitely be a shining star in the future. Sword Sect Pagoda Forest's elder Qin he sighed. Of course, not everyone was looking forward to Yi Guqin's performance. For example, those from the Qin family, Imo family and Spring Cloud Pavilion had extremely ugly expressions on their faces. Quickly report to the Patriarch, Imo Lin is dead. Big Brother Batian is dead. Big Brother Aoshi must kill that Duga Wubai. Send a message to the Pavilion Master. Senior Sister Ji Hongmei is also dead. And the person who killed her is Duga Wubai. The people from the three forces were in an uproar. Obviously, this was going to be a big storm. After all, these three forces all had profound entrances of life and death, and even spiritual bridge of heaven and earth experts. They definitely could not watch their own Heaven's pride die without doing anything. For Yi Guqin, this was a life-threatening storm. Chapter 151. Within the mountain range, the battle had reached its climax. Yi Guqin and Qin Aoshi both unleashed their powerful battle prowess. Especially Yi Guqin. Although he couldn't use many of his techniques, he could still contend against Qin Aoshi, with his god-slaying sword technique, six-pulse divine sword, and wave-like subtle steps. Boom! After another collision, the two of them were pushed back again. Qin Aoshi raised his eyebrows slightly. He was also shocked by Yi Guqin's physical body and strength. On the other hand, Yi Guqin also had a trace of seriousness towards Qin Aoshi, who had yet to reveal his trump card. At this moment, the two of them had blood on the corners of their mouths, and were injured in many places. Because they didn't have any defense, other than the armor protecting their bodies, they were basically exchanging injuries for injuries, fighting with their lives on the line. Even Yi Guqin's ice and fire dragon crystal armor had many cracks on it. However, with the self-healing spiritual runes, it could slowly heal. Just when the two of them were about to attack again, another figure appeared in the distance. After all, the commotion caused by Yi Guqin and Qin Aoshi was a little too big. The impact of such an intense battle was even greater than the battle between Yi Guqin and Qin Batian and the rest. In the distance, a man with a long sword wrapped in bandages appeared. It was Morong Ditian. In another place, a muscular man with a terrifying saber on his shoulder appeared. It was the blade maniac Shen Tu Miao. However, there was another aura that made Yi Guqin frown faintly. A beautiful woman in blue clothes appeared. She was as brilliant as ice and snow. Her ice blue eyes were filled with surprise as she looked at Yi Guqin and Qin Aoshi. It was Xia Yubing. The arrival of Xia Yubing, Morong Ditian, Shen Tu Miao and the rest made the atmosphere become strange. Even Qin Aoshi was frowning, seeing Yi Guqin wiping away the blood on the corner of his mouth. All the geniuses, including Xia Yubing, were shocked as they looked at Yi Guqin. When they saw the corpses of Qin Batian, Imo Lin, and Ji Hongmei, even the usually indifferent Xia Yubing's icy blue eyes revealed astonishment. This, Qing State Prefecture's Ji Hongmei, Yuanyang Prefecture's Imo Lin, and little tyrant Qin Batian, are all dead? Morong Ditian was also slightly stunned. Even with his strength, it would not be easy for him to kill the three of them. However, none of these geniuses were fools. When they saw Qin Aoshi glaring at Yi Guqin with hatred, they all knew what was going on. However, it was also because of this that Xia Yubing and the others were endlessly shocked. Could it be that these three were all killed by Duga Wubai? Shen Tu Miao was a little stunned. Judging from Qin Aoshi's attitude, I'm afraid this is the case. Xia Yubing suppressed the shock in her heart and looked at Yi Guchen with an incomparably serious gaze. In her heart, Yi Guchen, who she originally viewed as a great enemy, did not come. But now, a dark horse that she had no choice but to pay attention to had appeared. Xia Yubing was very ambitious and had long since decided to shine in the 10 prefectures elite gathering. Therefore, Xia Yubing instinctively raised her vigilance towards the youth called Dugu Wubai. Seeing that Xia Yubing did not seem to have seen through his identity, Yi Guchen's heart slightly relaxed. After all, he already had a mortal enemy, Qi Naoshi. If his identity was exposed, Xia Yubing, Morong Ditian and Qi Naoshi would definitely take action. No matter how powerful Yi Guchen was, it was impossible for him to fight against the three of them at the same time. The three of them were not on the same level as Qin Batian and the other two. What's wrong, Qi Naoshi? Have you still decided to take action? Yi Guchen indifferently said. Are you afraid? Qi Naoshi tightly grasped his lightning spear, as the killing intent in his eyes did not decrease. It's not that I'm afraid. It's just that if both of us are injured, it would benefit others. Yi Guchen smiled. There was not the slightest trace of fear in his blood moon-like eyes. If Qi Naoshi was determined to fight to the death, he would definitely accompany him. Qi Naoshi's face was as cold as the eternal ice abyss. He glanced at Xia Yubing and the rest with a trace of hesitation in his heart. Although he had the intention to kill Yi Guchen, there was a pack of wolves eyeing him covetously. They were still in the second stage of the elite gathering. If he and Yi Guchen were to fight to the death, they would not be able to resist when Xia Yubing and the rest made their move. Do you think that I will let you go just like that? Qi Naoshi's expression was still sinister. When have I, Dugu Wubai, ever thought of retreating? I just don't want to work for others. If you want to fight to the death, I will definitely accompany you to the end. Yi Guchen's voice was sonorous. His body was as straight as a sword as a surge of battle intent soared into the heavens. Fine, Dugu Wubai. I will let you live for a few more days. Wait for me to take your life. Although Qi Naoshi's eyes were filled with unwillingness, he had no other choice. Furthermore, there were still 2 more stages in the elite gathering. Qi Naoshi was not afraid that Yi Guchen would escape. His gaze was filled with bone-deep hatred as he looked at Yi Guchen. Then, he picked up Qin Baishan's corpse and turned to leave. Seeing Qi Naoshi leave, Yi Guchen breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Although he did not fear Qi Naoshi, this was indeed not a good time. However, there was one thing that Yi Guchen was certain of. He and Qi Naoshi would definitely have an ultimate battle to the death. In the end, only one of them could survive. Yi Guchen slightly tilted his head and swept his gaze across Xia Yubing and the rest. For some unknown reason, Xia Yubing and the others felt a faint sense of fear when they saw Yi Guchen's eyes, which still had some remnants of blood redness in them. This person. Xia Yubing had a strange feeling in her heart, but she couldn't explain it clearly. Everyone, the show has ended. It's time for you to leave. Yi Guchen spoke with a hoarse voice. Ever since he had transformed into Dugu Wubai, his voice had always been like this. I originally thought that Su Jianshi was the biggest dark horse. But now, it seems that young Master Dugu is the most mysterious existence. Xia Yubing faintly smiled as she spoke with an indescribable tone. Yi Guchen looked at Xia Yubing. His enemy was right in front of him. However, his state of mind was unexpectedly calm, because it was not the time for the final conclusion, but it would be soon. Yi Guchen faintly sighed in his heart as he directly took Ji Hongmei and Emo Lin's origin rings. As for Xia Yubing, Morong Ditian, and Shen Tu Miao, they felt a slight ripple in their hearts when they saw this scene. Ji Hongmei and Emo Lin were both #1 heavenly prides. They obviously had a lot of beast cores in their hands. However, the fact that Yi Guchen was able to compete with Qin Aoshi's strength made them hesitate. In the end, Xia Yubing and the rest also left. Looking at the departing figures of Xia Yubing and the rest, Yi Guchen's gaze was filled with deep meaning. Xia Yubing, just you wait. Very soon, I will bring you a true surprise. Yi Guchen's lips carried a cold smile. However, before that, Yi Guchen still had something to deal with. Did they escape in that direction? Yi Guchen looked at the forest in the south. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.